They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Friday Night Lies on a Monday. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for your patience with our reschedule. I'll let you know in a little bit what craziness caused that to happen, and I'll talk a little bit about you because I know many of you can empathize and possibly have even felt like I have felt since Friday. So welcome back. Glad to have you, everyone. I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you, how much I've enjoyed getting to know so many of you off this platform via email questions, chatting, texting, made many friends in this journey. This was our year anniversary, the last week of August. And I'm kind of shocked and amazed, to be honest with you. First of all, I never pictured myself live streaming. I remember when it first started and I noticed people were into it and I was watching different people. I just never saw it for myself. I'd been doing pre-recordeds for quite a few years and webinars and live speaking for many years, but never really gave the live streaming a thought. So I just want to thank those of you that encouraged me in the beginning. There were a few of you, you know who you are. And if you ever want me to say who you were, I'll say who you were, but you know who you are. And you heavily encouraged me to give this a shot because of my journalism background, policing and social worker. It's sort of the perfect trifecta to talk about a lot of these cases and advocate advocating's always been near and dear to my heart way before you ever knew me. I've been an advocate for years, and I've been on protest lines, and I've held signs, and I've done a lot of that through the different decades of my life and different careers where I've actually advocated for coworkers and stood up against injustices at my jobs and in my community. And so this is really amazing to me that I get to advocate with all of you, basically all around the world. Some of you that are subscribers and now members of our channel live in Europe, and someone's in South Africa, and we've got Australia. And I mean, I wish I could name all your countries right now, and I'm going to have to make a list and shout out to all of your countries. But the States, where you're all over the country right now, those of you that have subscribed in the last year, and I'm just so humbled by it. I could get teary-eyed about it, because this is kind of something I never thought about doing, but I'm finding it's sort of like a dream come true for me to get to use all three of my careers in my retirement as a volunteer and actually help people the best that we can, right? We're advocates. So we're not private investigators. I'm not a cop anymore. I'm retired. I'm not a social worker anymore. I'm retired. Don't have a license. I can't counsel you anymore, but I can advocate for you, and I can advocate with you, and I can have empathy for you and your families, for the grief and despair that you have gone through because your loved ones have been unalived by the hands of someone else. So if you're new to our channel, welcome. This is Social Change Warriors. We are advocates for victims of homicide and their families who are fighting for justice. And we will continue to advocate for them until their case is either solved or it goes into a section where it really can't be solved. And then that's where the families have to reach out for massive counseling and help. But we will always keep them on our channel. They will always be in our theme song lineup that we run for you at the beginning, because they will always tell us, once we've gotten to know them and their families, we've gotten to know them through their families. We're very fortunate that way. And we're blessed that we literally feel like we know someone that we never knew, because we've been advocating for them and we've learned about them. And we will continue to honor them for as long as Social Change Warriors is on the air. And my goal, because I've recruited Julie, craziest person on earth, she's the only one that would do this. I'm going to put this in my will. Social Change Warriors will be in my will, and who's ever willing to take it is going to have it. And you're younger than me, Julie. You're younger than me. A couple of you know who you are, that are my head kind of good go-to subscribers. You're always here on Friday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. You're going to inherit this from me, and you're going to keep it going, because I know it can be bigger. I know it can be better in terms of numbers for communities to get involved in being a social change warrior. And I believe this could really, truly turn out to be something someday. I hope I started it soon enough for me to get to see a little whisper of it, but I feel like we've already had massive success just because we're helping families, the little bit that I know we do, and you're getting to help families by being part of our movement, part of our advocacy. So thank you so much. I did not prep that. I have been extremely ill since Friday, so this was just off the top of my head and out of my heart to all of you out there, all of our subscribers and friends of Social Change Warriors. So let me bring my dear co-host up, Julie, for our Friday Night Lives. Hi, Jules.
Hey, hey.
Hey, good to see you
Here
again. I missed you. I missed you guys on Friday.
Happy Friday, Monday.
Hi, Shauna. Shauna says listening. Hi, Shauna. She's one of our dear friends now. And I'm so fortunate that I'm sad that John O'Keefe passed away, but I'm also amazed at the blessings he's brought to my life because of the friends that I have made from being a part of the Karen Reed movement. I would have never expected it. I've followed a lot of trials during my different careers when I was a police officer, social worker on my own through the old school, channels that we had, no social media, no Twitter, no TikTok, no Instagram, no Facebook, guys, no nothing. It was just the news and court TV. And I'm trying to think, was there something before court TV, Julie, when you were just like a child?
Oh, I have no idea. I think CNN covered a bunch of stuff, but
I don't remember. But yeah,
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, CNN, yeah. And then before that, though, I mean, before we really had major cable, back even when I was in high school, I've always been interested in true crime and crime solving, and getting justice for people has always been an interest to me. But I think, like I've told you guys many times, my mother was a paralegal investigator for the Department of Justice for many, many years. And before that, she was a court reporter's main person who did everything for two different court reporters. So I saw the law like my whole life, and I saw, what it meant to uphold the law and what it what court was like. My mom would tell us, she couldn't tell us about her cases till they were over and solved. And sometimes they were long, like some of her cases, I couldn't believe it. In fact, Julie, I don't think I ever told you and Shauna this or Kathy this, but when I had my first child, my mom was on some kind of discovery mission up north, and she did not make it in time for his birth because he was born 7 weeks early. So I had him in an emergency delivery, emergency cesarean, and my mom got there and she thought she was just walking into me being in the hospital and having to stay on bed rest for 7 weeks. And my husband at the time says to my mom, "Hi, Grandma." And she goes, "What? Wait, what?" And then he's like, picks up our son and hands him to her. I mean, that was like epic, because her reaction was amazing. Not epic that I had him 7 weeks early, but he was healthy, he was good, but an epic reaction. And my mom was working on a really important case at the time, and she couldn't tell me anything about it, of course, until it was over and done with. But I think growing up like that, being around someone who was so involved in the law like my mom was, it really inspired me to want to know more about justice and cases getting solved for not putting the wrong person in jail and putting the right person in jail and getting that right as many times as we possibly can. Right, Julie? Could you hear me okay? Uh-oh.
What's up? Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you heard me. I said, isn't that right, Julie? I said, putting the right person in jail and not the wrong person.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's, yeah. I mean, just doing the right thing. And by doing the right thing means like what Belichick, who's going to go on the field in about an hour, do your job. And from what we're seeing in a lot of these cases that are coming up with, how, you're supposed to do things and how things are done, we're kind of seeing like how things are actually done, and doesn't seem like that's the way it's supposed to go. So, I mean, It's good that we have eyes on this stuff to see that people in Massachusetts here, where I am, you see outside that we're doing this in the sunlight, that
exactly
Massachusetts are going to, have to basically live by this. And again, it's not just Norfolk. I mean, it's other places. So, I mean, it's good that we're being able to see this, but yeah, getting the right person, but also doing your job and doing things the right way, because you don't do things the right way and you have a beautiful case and boop, it's gone because.
Right. And the thing about it is that, what's interesting is that the Karen Reed trial, the OJ trial really put court TV on the map, or whatever that was, that, back in the day when that was on so long ago. Gosh, that was 1984, really put that on the, really put people being interested in following trials that literally had nothing to do with them. That, when you don't know someone now, it's very different when you're friends or family or even coworkers, colleagues of the people. Right. But that really put things up. And then, and then from there it got going. And a lot of people that were interested in following true crime, not just through the media prior to social media days, but they would watch on whatever was allowed. But, very few court cases back in the day were even allowed to be aired. Many of them still aren't. It's frustrating for people, and, because they want to watch. Right. So thank you, Shauna. Traveling Cat and Boston Jewel. Yes, I love our nicknames. I'm also, I don't have a hat on tonight yet. I still have a tad bit of a headache from what I've been through since Friday, which I'll give you guys a quick peek into my existence. So I'll put a hat on a little bit towards the end because my head hurts a little bit and I don't know if that's going to bug me or not. But welcome to Friday Night Lies, Monday night edition. Happy Labor Day to everyone who labors and are heavy laden. I hope you had a great weekend, whatever you did. I did not. Julie knows and Shauna knows because they texted with me a little bit through my misery. But welcome to our makeup session from Friday Night Lies. And so I hope that I got to watch a lot of football because I was bedridden, but it was still a great distraction for me. And of course, Julie, next weekend, NFL starts, but baseball is hot and heavy right now, man. There are so many good teams. I'm excited to talk a little bit of baseball with y'all here on Friday nights because we've all got our favorite teams, and there's going to be some amazing competition this year, right, for the pennant race and the World Series.
I don't know about baseball. I mean, I know the Red Sox are doing better because all of a sudden everybody got excited about the Red Sox again, but there's a lot of good football. I mean, I'm not a big college football person because, again, in the Northeast, we don't really.
But I'm I'm helping you. I'm updating you.
Well, there was a good game last night. It's all about the U.
all of the games were really good, to be honest with you. I mean, even some of the non-conference ones that weren't really meant to be too big of a battle were a little bit dicey for some of the teams in the early sections. So anyway, for those of you that are new, welcome to Social Change Warriors. We are an advocacy channel. We advocate for victims of homicides and their families who want justice, who need justice. And we also help call out crime and corruption when we see it in the news, or when another live streamer has found it or called it out, or when a journalist has called it out and found it, or if we happen to find it during one of our cases, our exploration into one of our cases. So we like to call out the corruption when we can. Now, interestingly enough, I follow Sean on the golf. Sean is a retired DEA agent, and I've spoken highly of him many times because his career was just amazing, exemplary, and he is from Canton. So he has covered the Karen Reed trial and case all along. And someone in his group was not very kind to me a couple of weeks ago, which it takes a lot of people to make up a group, right? So when you take people on your Facebook groups or your whatever groups you put out there, you have to be a little careful, and you have to watch how they're behaving and what they say. And he basically said something to me like, you are only a street cop. We don't need your opinion. We'll stick to Sean's. And I'm kind of like, well, okay, but I don't know why you're telling me that, because it really is unnecessary to kind of make me feel bad, first of all. And why wouldn't you want a street cop's opinion? I mean, Sean was a street cop at one time, and he decided to go up the ladder and become a DEA agent, which is amazing and specialized. So I wrote a return post, a really nice one, just praising Sean for his efforts for going up the ladder and specializing as a DEA agent. But some of us just really liked being patrol cops, and that's what we did, and that's what we stayed. And I worked with many who never wanted to get promoted. They loved being a street cop. So never put down anybody, first of all, regardless of what level they are, because everybody has talents and skills, and we're all drawn to different occupations for different reasons. We should always respect everyone that's out there just working their butts off to earn a living, right? So anyway, I wrote back to him, but I kept it clean and kind, and that's what we should always do here, and that's what we try to do here at Social Change Warriors. We don't want to ever make fun of anyone or put down their occupations just because it might be different than what we do, and everyone is allowed to have an opinion in this country on everything. So we all get to have a say, and that doesn't make us a shit disturber or a finger pointer. It just makes us an advocate. It makes us someone who's interested in advocating for people that need justice. So there is my spiel on that. So it's our anniversary. Like I said at the beginning, it's been a year. Thank you again to everyone. We believe in making a difference here, and I believe we are. We might be a small grassroots channel. We're the little engine that could. We're gaining subscribers a little bit every week. I think we're at 1,060 now. And the only reason that number matters to me is for advocacy purposes, because we do not do the super chats here. I'm not interested in that. I want your opinion. I want you to feel free to always say something in our friend zone, which is the chat box. You're always welcome there. You're welcome to email me anytime. But I did find something out interesting this week, Julie and Shauna, and those of you that are with us live. We do qualify for some type of monetization now. It won't be very much. It might be enough to cover the StreamYard, $44 a month, and the YouTube and the Twitter and all the other little things I have to pay for. But I guess we do. So it's called AdSense. And because we have over 1,000 subscribers and we've met all the other qualifications regarding being a good channel and not having strikes and doing a lot of videos. We've been averaging over 20 hours a month of screen time, which is pretty crazy and amazing. And so we are going to qualify now. So I think it's going to be trickling in like dollars and cents. And then, of course, thank you to all of you that became members in the last few months. I opened that up when we had 1,000. So we do have memberships now, which the memberships are just there as a thank you to me for my time that I put into this, which is a lot as a volunteer. But I love it. But I appreciate the $1.99 or the 99-cent membership, because it actually helps me right now pay for StreamYard. And I graciously appreciate that, because it does take a village. So the memberships got turned off on me this past week, because I guess they sent me a pin in the mail that I have to register my address with StreamYard now, and not StreamYard, I'm sorry, with AdSense and with Google. And so to be able to do the YouTube AdSensing, whatever that is. So I'll keep you posted. Everything will always be transparent. I'll let you know what kind of monetary, windfall we're getting from this AdSense, which again, I don't expect it to be too much, but it's still a little bit, and every little bit helps, right? right now with a tight budget and trying to do something as a volunteer. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for making this first year of live streaming so meaningful to me and all the families that we have been advocating for. I know it means a lot to them as well. So we are live streaming roughly 2 nights a week. We kind of alternate Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays is our women's empowerment night, where we focus on a lot of the women who are not getting justice because their husbands unalived them. So a lot of our focus on Wednesdays is survivors, interviewing survivors of domestic violence and talking about those that have perished and their families fight for justice. So that is what we'll be doing on most Wednesdays. We did have a male guest last week, my former dispatcher, Steve, who he and I went over the 911 call of Ellen Greenberg's tragic death. We do believe that was a domestic violence homicide that has never been solved because it was never investigated. So I will talk more about that coming up on Wednesday nights and other topics that matter to you that you're interested in. So I hope you'll join us. And then on Thursday nights, when we do broadcast, that's mostly a night where I'll have family members come on and they talk about any corruption that they are sensing or feeling in their communities that have to do with their loved ones' cases, or any other corruption. We've covered John O'Keefe and Karen Reed many times on a Thursday night. So look for us Wednesdays or Thursdays. We alternate those. And then every Friday with Julie, our true crime night with Friday Night Lies, trial watching and witness testimony, going over it, talking about the lying that goes on in a lot of these cases by the police and by the witnesses, and trying to sort it all out for you the best that we can on Friday night. So thank you so much. So we have a new little thing Julie and I want to try with you guys. We're starting it out tonight for the first time. Before we get into all the drama and stress that is all these cases that we cover, we thought we'd have a little bit of some of it's not lighthearted, some of it is darn well scary. I've got a clip of a bad storm to show you that went through Houston, Texas yesterday. We're going to do a little check this out for the week of September 1st through 7th. So later on in the week when we live stream again, we'll add to this section. But so let me just bring up a couple things I want to share with you, and I'll ask Julie if she's got anything. But what I want to quickly share with you is my friend sent me this today, who knew that I had food poisoning since Saturday and in a vertigo episode again since Friday. So I had vertigo and then I got food poisoning, and it was not pretty here at my house. Let me tell you, people, and any of you that have suffered from vertigo and or had food poisoning, if you can imagine having them at the same time, it's just so funny now to me that did happen, but it wasn't funny Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So I asked myself if I'm okay, and we both started laughing. So thank you, John. I so appreciate you. And John will be a guest coming up on September 17th. John calls himself a walking survivor and a long-term recovery. And so he's going to share with you his mission and his volunteer work that he does for staying in recovery and for working with AA, a very popular, wonderful program that's been around for long time. He's going to tell us a little bit about AA and what they're about and how you can get involved on a volunteer level if you wanted to. If you qualify to be a volunteer with them, I believe that you have to be in recovery for that. But he's going to tell us all that. So he's going to talk to us about his ups and highs and lows. And he is a very dear friend of mine from high school. And I know you'll enjoy meeting John. He's very, very colorful. So that's it. I asked myself if I'm okay, and we both started laughing. So that was my weekend. Started out with vertigo on Friday and ended with food poisoning. And I apparently still have it because I haven't been able to eat much today. But I'm sipping on electrolytes from Smart Water and a little bit of tea because I'm not supposed to have any caffeine, but a little bit of tea. So I want to show you guys that my sister sent me this today because I told her I was going to do this check this out section. And this is the scary storm that passed over the Texas Tech Stadium. Now, you guys know I love sports, especially college. So I was geeking out on college football while I was sick on Saturday. And this is the storm that came over. Can you imagine, Julie, sitting in the stadium and seeing this monster come over you that quick?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on in Texas. I don't know what's going on down there.
Oh, their weather's been crazy.
They can have all the weather.
Yeah, no kidding. So let me pull up. Texas. Hang on, I want to pull up this link for you guys so you can actually see this thing roll in. My sister found the actual clip of it for me. I've got her on the lookout for interesting, check this out things for us. So let me pull that up for you real quick. So I'll tell you a little story once about a storm. When I went to the Train concert in Vermont last summer, I went to visit an old friend of mine and we saw a train, and it was in this beautiful outdoor theater. So we sat on lawn chairs and it was small, small crowd because it was all outdoor. And we were in the parking lot because they were delaying it because it had been raining and the weather was not the greatest all afternoon. And so we were in the parking lot and we were in our cars because they wouldn't even let us get in line or anything like that. There we go. I got it pulled up. Hang on a second. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I came all this way. I mean, I still got to visit my friend, so it would have been a win-win no matter what. But he and I are big train geeks, and it would have been really disappointing if I came all the way to Vermont and I didn't get to see train. So we were just sitting there in the parking lot. It is pouring rain on the car. And hang on, let me know if you can see that, Julie.
Yep, I can see it here. Let's see if it comes
okay.
out.
All right. Let me see if I'm trying to go. I think might have to go back because I started it too soon. Maybe skip ad. Let's see if that's it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it. Where did it go? That's the one I pulled up from my sister, Tower Cam Network. That's just showing the storms. Hang on, I just had it. It showed up right before I brought it on. Let me go back and try to find it again. I don't know what happened to it. That is so strange. Okay, let me go back again and try to get it for you guys. It was in the slide deck and I touched on the link.
Is it further in the story?
I don't think so. It should have come up right away.
Wait, are you showing Florida?
Okay, there it is. Now can you see it?
Yep, now I can.
Is that it?
Yep.
Look at that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it all the people that's a time lapse. So can you imagine? It was coming over slowly but surely, just like a big giant cloud, like a blanket. I've never seen anything like it. And then this is the flooding in Texas. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's really, the flooding in Texas is bad. Like my cousin lives there and she said it's just really horrific. Let's see what this said.
Houston.
That is scary. It's absolutely terrifying because there's nothing worse than that. I mean, being in a car and being, trapped like that, that is terrifying.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's what happened to OB earlier this year, right before the really big flood that wiped out.
Oh, really?
Camp.
Oh, yeah, the camp. Because I forgot she's in Texas, right?
Well, yeah. So it was. I think it was like a week or two prior to that. They had flooding like that there too, and she was driving, and
yeah.
I think it was like the second of like 3 or 4 storms. She was driving, and all of a sudden this huge deluge of water came by and had nowhere to go, and all of a sudden she starts non-consensually floating away, and she's like, I don't know what happened, but the water was all the way up here and I just started floating. So welcome to Texas.
Yeah, that's scary. I have a friend who lives in Dallas too, and my cousin's in Houston. I'm sure a lot of us know people, and I forgot that OB lived in Texas. Yeah, that was horrific. What happened to that girls' camp? Yeah, they've had they have had the nuttiest weather since spring with the tornadoes and all these floods. And we've had a lot of rain here the last 48 hours. Little part of my backyard is flooded because it's just been constant. It's raining again off and on now to today all day. So something else I ran across for you guys check this out. Whoops, sorry about that. That's just my alarm to remind me I should stand up and stretch. There's been a lot of dangerous SHIT going on TikTok. Really scary to me. And I'm grateful. My kids are adults. I'm so glad I'm not in this generation of parenting. I think it's there's been, I don't know what you all think in the chat. Let me know in replay, but I think parenting. Hi, MCAT. Welcome. Yes. The Brew Crew is really doing great, aren't they? Now I didn't pay attention, MCAT. Did they win today? Because a friend of mine was at the game live. I didn't pay attention, but they did. They are on a roll. I mean, they have the best record in baseball right now. There's a couple other teams that are close to them, but right now, still the best record in baseball. So thank you. I know you're a Brew Crew fan as well. But being a parent nowadays, Julie, with all the social media, just the addiction to social media, number one, and trying to balance that and sort that out, how that works for your kid and how, what you allow them to have and not have and how much screen time you allow them to have. And it's got to be the worst battle. I mean, parents in my generation, we can't even imagine it because we played outside when I grew up. all the time, even in the snow. My kids played outside all the time, even in the snow. And I couldn't even imagine having to talk my kids into going outside. And I know that's what's going on. And then these new TikTok challenges are freaking dangerous. And I was looking up some of them today, and I didn't paste that in there, did I? I've got a link, but I don't need to. Well, hang on. Let me try to bring it up for you guys so I can read them to you. They're dangerous. So if you have grandchildren and you haven't heard about these yet, you need to know.
MCAT says that game's not over.
Oh, it's still going?
I guess so.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, it didn't. That's right. It didn't start till 3:30 Central. Right. So it is still going. Thanks, MCAT. Okay. All right. I got to do a quick score check, guys. Hang on. Let me go to my CBS app here. I'll give you a quick score check here on what's going on today's. Oh, shoot. It's 10-8. Oh.
What inning?
The Phillies are up 10. The Brewers have 8. Because the Phillies also have an amazingly excellent record. They are 79-58 on the season, 79 wins, 58 losses, and the Brewers are 85 wins and 53 losses. The Brewers still have the best record in baseball. It looks like the Mets beat the Tigers 10-8. That was earlier today. Anybody else want to score on? Let's see here. Who else?
What inning are the Brewers in?
The Brewers are in the middle of the 9th. So
wow.
If they can hold the
Phillies, okay, so they have a chance.
They'll have a chance, but oh boy, what a game, huh? But these two teams are
I don't have any highlight for you, so
it's okay.
Campania of beers.
Oh, well, thanks, MCAT, for reminding me. I knew the game was on earlier. I remembered it, but I'll tell you, brain fog is real when you've been out of it for this many days like me. So let me pull this list up just for all of you that have grandkids or that have I'm going to read this to you all. I don't have to share my screen, but I'm going to read it to you because these are the most recent ones that are out there. And one of the most recent ones is they're playing Door Ding Dong Dash. And if you might remember that when we were kids, where you go and ring someone's doorbell and run away. That was like annoying to people, but it wasn't considered dangerous. Nobody was out there. But now an 11-year-old kid got shot playing this
too, right?
I believe it was in Texas, playing this new challenge on TikTok because they're wearing costumes. I think they're wearing masks and they're dressing up and they're scaring the crap out of people. So it's not as innocent as the old one used to be. And so I'm going to read to you what this one says. Well, one of the other more recent ones, which was super dangerous, was a Benadryl challenge. I mean, come on, kids, use your brains.
Benadryl.
Kids are smart. So yes, so they take an excessive amount of Benadryl one at a time, and they get like a high and hallucinate. And there's been a death, a 15-year-old in Oklahoma, and then another child was in intensive care. I mean, this is out of control. I mean, this is just crazy. We have to put a heavier duty watch on what our kids are watching on these platforms and what they're ingesting, not mentally ingesting from these social media platforms, but physically. I mean, it's scary.
Well, mentally too.
Right. Mentally and physically. They're ingesting just a lot of nonsense, and it's scary. I mean, it's really scary. So please beware. There's several of them out there. Go check it out. There's some news stories that you guys can follow. Down by 2. Yeah, I saw that, MCAT. Thank you. And then MCAT says, thank God my children are old enough to look at TikTok, but not to do any of the oh yeah, old enough to look, but old enough not to do anything stupid, I would hope. Yeah, thankfully. But there's too many kids. TikTok, to me, I mean, all the social media platforms, if you're under 14, should be heavily monitored. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I'm not a parent of little children anymore, but I mean, my gosh, here's the scary part too, Julie. I want to know what you think about this, and anybody who's live with us. Soon, the kids who were raised with social media, it's all they ever knew. They never knew landlines. They never knew copy machines. They never knew DVD players, CDs, cassette tapes. They're going to be having kids, and they're going to be raising kids on only knowing social media for their whole lives. So to me, that's almost scarier because it becomes a watering down of what's acceptable and what we're allowed and what we can do. I mean, you've already got 2-year-olds with iPads, for God's sake, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's nuts.
I mean, just because, that whole entire, like, okay, wait a second. That whole entire, like, well, they're always online and there's no way to monitor and whatever, like, okay, well, they don't have landlights, they don't go outside, whatever the case may be. We still have to live by the rules of civil society. And the rules of civil society say you do so that you don't do harm. Like
Right.
you agree that like I'm gonna go down the street just because I can doesn't mean I should. So
Right.
that's I'm turning it up so it doesn't get that. So just because you can doesn't mean that you should, and that seems to be kind of eroding. Where it's like, well,
Yeah.
you're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what you do. You have to
Right.
use this and that and the other thing. Like I'm gonna sound like an old man, ranting about
I
yelling
know.
at the clouds, but like back in like society, like we still have rules to live by in society. Like just because like you say like, well, that rule shouldn't apply or that rule shouldn't be there. Well, it's there for a reason. That's the rule now. So you need to, live by that. I think that's kind of going away where it's like, no, we're changing things. We're going to move fast and break shit.
Right.
No, we also have to live by this. People get hurt. Real
Yeah.
things happen. Actions have consequences. And I think that's going away where people don't realize like, well, just because I poke somebody online, like it's not
Yeah.
real, it's online. No, there's a person on the other end of that, believe it or not. In some of these,
And
you say, well,
when you defame,
no, there are people there. So I think that's going away. We need more of that.
I agree with you completely.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you. That was a great TED Talk. By the way, I love your background tonight. Are you sitting on your patio?
Yep, I'm on my porch. Yep, this is
nice.
Welcome
Is
to
it nice and
Massachusetts.
cool?
What's up?
Is it nice and cool? Are you getting some fall weather now?
It is. So around this time of year, usually happens later, but it happened earlier. The wind, because it turns from summer to fall, the wind changes, so it blows east, and the water's right there. So it cooled off. So it's nice, but it kind of sucks because last night I'm like, well, it wasn't at the level of frost yet, but it's like this shouldn't be so soon. But at least it's going to be warmer this week. But like summer's like I know it's the end of summer, but like I'm not ready for the end of summer is usually like the first week in October for me, but because that's when the boats come out of the water and everything else happens. But
kind of
I'm
like
not ready
the old,
for it.
what did they used to call it, Julie? The Indian summer? They used to call it that. I know that's
Indian
not
summer.
correct, but Native American summer. But basically,
Indian summer. That's
right. Basically, it's just you get summer weather through September, but then you might get some really cold September days, and then you pop back to like 70-degree days for a few days. And that September is like that. Down here in Florida, the great thing about September is we get rid of all that really nasty feels like junk, because July and August, there's a lot of feels like where it's 80, but it feels like 89.
feels like 105.
It feels like 105. Like the last month has been horrific down here. Everything on the whole East Coast has been feels like, but we're done with that now, thankfully. So it was normal Florida today, and it was actually, it felt good to me because it was all that horrificness was over, but it was still humid here, obviously, but it rained a lot. So there was a lot of wind today, really breezy. I haven't been over to the ocean since I got vertigo on Friday, so I don't know, but I heard the waves were really big, and there was a lot of alerts out for everybody that came for the Labor Day weekend for the riptides. Because we had a 76-year-old man drown at my beach, the beach that I always walk, my little section. Really eerie, Julie. It happened like hours after I was there. And I had this weird, bad feeling that day. I even chatted with this one gentleman who had just come out of the water, and I could tell he just didn't look like that strong a swimmer. So I kind of noseyed myself in, and I just said, hey, guy, I got to tell you, I live here now, and I've been living here since 2009. I know a lot about the rip currents and how dangerous they are. I used to be a lifeguard, and please don't go back in today, because this is a dangerous time right now with that hurricane out there. This was when the hurricane had just gone by. And I mean, he scared me when I watched him, and he even said to me, yeah, I felt the rip currents. They were kind of grabbing at my ankles. I said, dude, that's your sign to get in ankle deep water,
the water.
If you're in water over your thighs and there's a rip current, usually they say you can go up to your waist on decent days, but up to your thighs only on medium days. But when it's a high rip current day, the water shouldn't be past your knees, so that you can have some type of balance to get yourself out of it if you're suddenly grabbed by a rip current. They don't mess around. And I don't know if you saw, Julie, but last week, 2 brothers passed away in Lake Erie. And I forgot the name. It was called Huntington Beach, because when I first saw it, I thought it was Huntington Beach, California, and that they had gotten caught in a Pacific Coast wave. But it wasn't. It was Huntington Beach in somewhere in Ohio on Lake Erie. And I guess Lake Erie has had really bad rip currents this summer.
How did they have rip currents? What is it? I guess they have storms there too.
And rip currents aren't just from storms necessarily. It can just be from the ocean's churned up extra bad for whatever. It can be for any. I don't think it's just storm related that you get rip currents.
No. Well, I mean, there are rip currents just naturally, like right out in Boston Harbor. I mean, I used to do a lot of my fishing. There's low water, and then there's ridiculous high water, and of course, it has to go, during certain times. And And that's why, like, you fish the outgoing tide, where, like, if you like, you put the line out, and depending on
Definitely
what
has
you
to
have,
do
like,
with
you get
that.
action because of the tide. But if you fall in, God help you, because you're going to end up by Boston Light, and that's a ways
Right.
away, because it'll take you like that. And
Yeah,
with
but
these
for
storms,
whatever reason, yeah, Lake Erie had bad rip tides
yeah,
this summer, and I was reading the article about it.
climate change.
Yeah, rip tides can happen in big
Oh,
lakes.
God's decision.
With the water, like Lake Michigan. We used to go there a lot when I was a kid when we lived in Milwaukee, and they get rip tides, rip currents there. Rip currents, yeah, it's scary. We have them all the time here because of the way that Florida curves in Volusia County. All of our beaches in Volusia County constantly have rip currents, but some days they're not as bad as others. So then you can go out up to your waist, and they hang the flags at the lifeguard station. They warn you, but you got to be so careful, people, when you swim. It's just scary,
especially after a storm. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Last Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday prior. Like, the storm was going on up here, and I forgot to mention it, and kicking myself for it. I mean, like, even though, like, like, I still could have said something, and maybe it would have had an effect. But I was going to say, like, hey, just because the storm passes doesn't mean that the rip current effect is gone, because all that water gets pushed up somewhere and it has to leave. That's how you get rip currents. And up in Hampton Beach, up in New Hampshire, a 17-year-old kid died because of it. And it was like, like, don't, like, just because the storm's passed doesn't mean that the water hasn't, receded to its natural level. Like, it takes some time. So, like, keep the warnings, especially like offshore storms, where, like, okay, it doesn't happen on land, but it's still happening over here, and all that water's getting pushed this way. So you gotta, keep an eye on things.
Yeah. It's so tragic when people lose their life.
Water's no joke.
Oh no, water is. I've always had a healthy respect for water, big time. One of my high school friends drowned just a week before the start of our senior year, and it was just an accidental thing. He jumped off a pier. They were all having fun jumping off the pier, and he must have hit his head on something. He must have gone in and just hit his head something under there. Maybe it was a log or
shallow
wood or something, and he didn't come up, and nobody knew where he was, and they're all trying to dive for him. But this is a lake, so lakes, unless you're way up north in Wisconsin or Minnesota, lakes can be kind of murky near the cities. So the city lakes are murkier, even though they can swim in them and they're fine to swim in, but they're kind of murky, like a river. A river's murky. Where the beautiful crystal clear lakes of northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, northern Minnesota, those are beautiful, beautiful crystal clear lakes. And at least if something happens, you can actually see someone. You have a better chance at survival of saving them, But when they go down in that murky water, it's scary. You can't see them. So that's scary. So anyway, and then last week, of course, we showed this wonderful clip of this girl. I'll show it at the end before we leave tonight. It's just a great way to end the show because she is hysterical. Children make me laugh. They are always funny and always wise. And then I had to put this up, Julie, because, those of you that follow along with us, the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case and everything to do with Massachusetts right now, because Julie is our resident Bostonian and she knows everything about.
Here it is. Well, not Boston, but Massachusetts.
We have been also following along with a lot of the rigmarole and the shenanigans going on with the anti-Karen Reed, they still believe it. They will not change their mind, regardless of 2 trials and science, which we're going to be getting to here very shortly. Because Julie loves science and we know her science background. She's going to help us sort through some of the Trooper Paul report that we found. They still will not give up the ghost on this. They just still think Karen Reed hit him with their car, no matter what, which is ridiculous to me. How do you watch 2 trials and be that involved and hear all that evidence from these witnesses, from the witnesses that were shady and from the science, and you still tell me? So I still get some hate mail from time to time from the antis, or they go after me on Twitter or Facebook. So for all of you antis out there who's still coming after me, before you judge me, please understand I do not care what you have to say about me. Or do I care what you think about any of this anymore? Because you're not paying attention to the science. Pay attention to the science. It's as simple as that. And then secondary, pay attention to the laws of our country. You cannot convict someone unless you have enough evidence to do so. So if you're on a jury and you cannot say beyond a shadow of a doubt that this person did this. And in Massachusetts, Julie, right? You guys have that whole extra caveat. It's called what? A moral certainty. If you can't say that as a juror, you cannot come to terms with that. You cannot convict. So please, antis, just stop with the nonsense and the madness. And free Karen Reed supporters who are arguing, please stop arguing. We really
There's more on that side. Now all of a sudden,
I know, but we
drowning up the
really
water.
wish, yes, we really wish you would all stop arguing. It's very sad and it's very depressing. And we're all advocates. We're all on here. You know, why are you like putting down other channels? Those of you that are doing that, why are you doing that? Like anybody can start a YouTube channel, guys. Trust me, I did it a year ago. I had no idea what I was doing. I read information. I watched other live streamers. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I don't have to come on here and be nasty. You don't have to go on your channel and be nasty. You don't have to put other people down. You don't have to call people 6 stringers or 12 stringers or whatever. You know, you just don't have to do that. So we all have choices to make. If you don't like a particular live streamer, don't watch their channel. Click, click, click. There you go. It's all you have to do. Block, block, block. So there's a whole little section of people that are still dealing with hate, that are still dealing with people posting hate about them on the Twitter, and they're not using the Facebook. Interestingly enough, they're using the Twitter, and they know who they are, and just stop it. Like, stop it. It's old news. So quit your harassment. Stop talking mean about people. But mostly, we don't care anymore. We don't care anymore if you don't like us. We don't care anymore if you think we did you wrong because we modded for you when we really didn't do that because you don't understand the situation. You've got your own little thing cooked up in your brain about what you think happened, but it didn't happen. So just, it's enough. It's time to stop. And that's that. That's what I have to say about haters and mean people. Stop being mean. So Friday Night Lies started out dedicated to justice for Karen Read, freeing Karen Read, and also equally getting justice for John O'Keefe, because he needs justice. He was taken by the hand of someone else and he has no justice. His family has no justice. My hope for them is that they'll finally sit down together and start going over all the science and maybe start to realize that they got it wrong. I have nothing against John O'Keefe's family. I've never said one bad thing about his family. They are grieving. They've lost a loved one. But I really hope for their sake that they can come to terms with this and that we can join them in their fight for justice, because they got it wrong the first time. They arrested the wrong person, Julie.
Sure. Well, okay, it's not Karen Read and only Karen Read, because then some other people who I believe are culpable wouldn't, see justice, and this guy wouldn't get justice for that. But I mean, just from the jump, and I mean, one clip I have, because it seems like people are starting to change trying to change the narrative a little bit, and we're gonna try to nip that in the bud as quick as possible. But it seems like they're trying to rewrite history a little bit, and that's just not what happened. But when it comes to this guy, I believe, to me, from what it looks like from again 2 trials and everything else, is that there was not a proper investigation done. And we're going to look at some of the Proctor stuff that was gone through with the Mass State Police and everything, saying like, yep, it didn't affect anything, what's going on here. And we're going to take a look and say like, oh, like, again, not just him. There are other factors that were involved. Like, you could say like, oh, Proctor's the boogeyman. It's because of him all this happened. No, that's not the case. Oh, they went after Karen Read specifically. No, not the case. It happens in other cases in Massachusetts. It's not just her. It's what happened in Norfolk County with how things are done with the Rule 14. Yeah, it's ongoing discovery, so I can give you it whenever you want. Like, that's just not the way it's supposed to be done. And thank God that there are people who are getting eyes on this, like Roe & Co. And unfortunately, some other BS came along and deprived us of that. And we'll get to that. But yeah, so I mean, my belief is that he's going to get justice. It's just going to take some time. And I think that what's happening now with what's going on federally and what's going on with Roe & Co. in Norfolk County with Brian Walsh and Miles King and what's going on there with investigation, it's going to come that way. And then we'll see. So, but I think he's going to get justice.
Well, speak about taking time. Let's just chat. Before we get into Proctor and everything that happened with Karen Read in the past 10 days since we were together, let's just talk a little bit about this case that some of us are following, the Donna Adelson.
Donna over here.
Donna murder trial. So justice for Dan Markle is the key here. And talk about taking time. I mean, I don't know if there's, other than cases that were marked as cold, right, that were labeled as cold and they got turned over to like the cold file unit or departments that have officers, sometimes they'll, an officer that goes on light duty, for instance, if you get hurt in the line of duty and you have to go on light duty for a while and write a desk, they'll give you a cold file to work on. Now, that actually happened to me when I was on light duty. I wasn't in charge of it. it was the detective who was also happened to be on late duty at the same time as me, who had to work a cold file for a while. And actually, I think he might have worked it when he wasn't on late duty as well, because it was his case and he wanted to solve it so bad before he retired. I remember chatting with him and just hearing the passion in his voice about, I don't think people really realize when detectives work these cases and investigators, how much the Brewers lost. Oh dear. Well, that's okay. You got to lose a few in baseball. You play a gazillion number of games. I'm still kind of floored at how many games that baseball has in their season. So, but I'm not happy that my friend, I would have liked to have had, my friend is probably the biggest Brewer fan I've ever known. And he was there today, and he took his friend's grandchild, I think. I'm not positive. It was a 14-year-old, so I don't know, but it was a grandchild, I think, who he took, or maybe their nephew or something. But I feel bad that they didn't get to see a win, but they got to see an exciting game. That's for sure. That many runs, that's fun. I mean, in baseball, that's fun. So anyway, going back to our crime here. This case has taken forever. And when I got to help with that cold case, that was, and in fact, I'm going to tell you guys about that case sometime. I will, I know it's never been solved, and it's tragic. And it happened right near Camp Randall, near the football stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. And a young college student was unalived on her way home from work. She was almost home too. That was the sickening part of it. She literally lived only like a block away, and they think it was random, and that it was a serial killer is what they ended up believing, and that this person was just traveling around the country. So there's no way to know. It's very possible that person did eventually get arrested, or maybe killed or something and surrounded, and who knows what happened to this person. But they might have. I mean, I hope they did, for unaliving this sweet college girl who never hurt anyone in her life and just got off working a shift at one of my favorite restaurants. It happened my senior year of high school, so I wasn't a UW student yet. And that's how long, I mean, I didn't get hired as a police officer until I was in my 30s. So that's how long this detective that I looked up to worked that case. And he wanted to solve it so bad. It's a fascinating case for true crimers because of the lack of evidence and the fact that they did not have technology back then for DNA. So I'll share a little bit about that case with you guys sometime. Because I got to help him a little bit go through the boxes and boxes and boxes of evidence, just trying to, he gave me assignments of things to search for, and then he would like comb over it and read over it. And it was really amazing how much it meant to him to try to solve that case. And I think we kind of forget how important it is, like I was just saying a minute ago before the Brewer update, how important it is to these investigators and detectives that they become so involved. They want to solve the case so bad, and they work tirelessly to do so. So as much as we've had to call out bad cops on Social Change Warriors, and many other people are calling them out, there are good cops. There are plenty of good detectives and good investigators and good cops out there doing the work. And the cops involved in this, and the investigators involved in Dan Markle's unaliving have been amazing. And yes, it's taken a long time, but it had to, because remember, their goal is not just to arrest someone. Their goal is to make sure that a jury of 12 of their peers can convict that person, because it doesn't do you any good if you arrest someone and you don't have proper evidence and you can't get the conviction. Then you're putting the family and the mourners of Dan, his friends and colleagues, through horrible trial, and then you don't get the result that you know is deserved, especially if you really believe the person did the crime. So in the beginning, I was living here in Florida in 2014. I remember very clearly when this happened. It was all over the news everywhere because it was a college professor, college campus, Tallahassee. I was living here in Volusia County at the time, followed it. I personally believed that it had to be someone he knew, that they were hired, because from everything that I knew that they did tell us, which wasn't a lot, but they were basically telling us that it was a for hire type situation. And I mean, who is going to hire someone to unalive another person other than someone. It's personal, right? I just thought it had to be personal. This is either a disgruntled student who he gave a bad grade to, or who didn't get his PhD because of his professor's class or something. I thought, okay, it could be that, or it's familia. And then when I found out about, the divorce and how contentious it was, I started thinking, holy cow, this could be a really scary, plot by the wife. And I always thought that she possibly could have done it, because obviously, we do look at the spouse as a number one suspect when someone gets unalived in a family or someone in the family, because, and especially when women get unalived, because I've shared this with you many times, 85% of women are unalived by someone they know, a much higher percentage than men. But because it was a man, I thought, well, maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a former student. But it was just, this case has really kind of astonished, I think, America. And when they originally arrested the actual shooters, and then the middle woman, I'm sorry, not Wendy. Wendy's our wife.
Katie McBonawan.
Yeah, Katie. So, but what's really been interesting, Julie, and I know that MCAT, I know you followed this case pretty closely, and some of
in court
live chat, is that a lot more is coming out. Like every time there's a trial, every time when Charlie's trial more came out, now all of a sudden Katie wants to talk more for Donna's trial, and I've been reading a lot on Reddit and on the social medias about what people have to say about this case. And there seems to be a lot of people that believe that Wendy is next, like that they are holding out some things that they don't need for Donna because they need them for Wendy. What do you think of that, Julie?
Well, maybe. I mean, who the hell was it? It was, and before we go any further, I just want to say I've done Bev penance once, and now I'm going to do Bev penance twice. The first Bev penance I did was with her curtain, where we all made fun of her curtain. Jimmy,
yeah.
You don't like my curtain,
Yes.
And then it turns out, it makes it so that we can see the screen a lot easier. And so I apologize for that. And the second time I'm gonna do Bev penance is for the schedule, because this schedule sucks. It takes forever. EDB is going for forever and ever and ever. And I get it; it's interesting. And you have to read the transcript and everything else. I'm like, oh my god, I want Bev with her, 35-minute, 15-minute breaks and her hour, 45-minute lunches, and
Are you talking about how the schedule is just on?
It's just like, let's go 9 o'clock. Yeah. Here we go. We're gonna go until 2, and then we're gonna have like 15 minutes for lunch, and then we're gonna go until like 6. Like, no, no, I want Bev. Give me Bev. I want Bev. Give me Judge Bev's schedule.
My gosh, let me see what Shauna has to say here. Let's see here. Let me go back up for a minute here. Leon County, Florida has been committed to justice for Dan Markel. I am very impressed with their loyalty to justice. Yes, they truly have, MCAT. I've been following that all along. Before even social media was really flying. I mean, Facebook was in existence since roughly 2006, something like that. So by 2014, when he was taken, there definitely was Facebook, but Twitter was sort of new still at that point. Shauna says feds had to build that case up. They did a great job for Dan. Yeah, they sure did. In conjunction with the Florida Department of Law and with the Tallahassee Police Department and the University Police Department. I mean, it was a multi-agency organization to do this case. They roll slow, but that's why they hit and never miss. Yeah. Yep. They get it right. I mean, they just get it right. They just build the evidence.
Dead's to right. And I mean, it takes time, but that like they call it like the bump, like, okay, like let's see if we can, stir it. And I mean, again, that's what the feds do now. Again, are we seeing the same thing with what's going on with the grand juror up here in Massachusetts? Who knows? But it kind of seems like they're, poking and chumming the water a little bit to say like, all right, let's see what's happening. We're watching social media, but I mean, you go on Twitter and you wouldn't tell that, like, oh, by the way, the feds are watching because everybody's losing their goddamn mind. But,
Yeah.
But this case just goes to show you, like, hey, like number one, how the feds work. Number two, just how methodical, like they went and they're like, okay, who could have done this? Well, first look at the family, because that's what I would have done. Like, again, like you and I talked offline about like, what can we do to like go through like the John O'Keefe case.
Right.
And like, that's where I would have looked first. Like, okay, what was his family doing? Who's close to him? Okay. His girlfriend, what was she doing? Okay. Well, this asshole in the bar, turns out they were a thing. So yes. So it's I mean, it sucks because it's such a sad case, but like it's good to see that like
Yeah.
it can be done. It's possible. So
What's really
there's the
sad
hope.
is that look at this family here, guys. I mean, how does this happen? How does this family here
Yeah.
on I'm looking at the screen to my right. They
Bad
look just
people.
like your neighbors. I mean, he's a dentist. He owns his own dentist practice. She was a stay-at-home mom, or as she put it, I got to pull up that clip of her on what was she on again? What
Oh,
game
Wheel of
show?
Fortune.
Yeah, we got to pull up that clip. She describes herself as like the architect of the family, of the household, or something like that. Or
Of the Adelson Institute, LaDonna Donna.
yeah, oh goodness sakes. But anyway, yes, because if your husband owns a business, though, I mean, I don't want to put down any woman that works alongside her husband, because I know a lot of women who have stood by their husbands, helped them get their education, and then helped them run their business, whether they did office management or they got a degree and worked in their facility or whatever. I have no doubt she did all that, and that she probably worked really hard at it. The oldest son is now a doctor, and his testimony was pretty riveting. And then, of course, Charlie was a dentist and a periodontist, actually. So he did dental surgery. And then, of course, Wendy became a lawyer. So how does this happen? How does this well-to-do, very wealthy family who has nothing to complain about in life as far as that end of it goes? They've always had, because of the dad becoming a dentist, getting his education, and all three kids getting their educations, they've all had money. They have not had many money problems like a lot of people do in this country. They haven't had job security problems like a lot of people do. They had a pretty decent life, really more than decent life. How does that lead to this nasty, wicked plot to unalive someone because it's not convenient for them where their daughter and grandchildren live? I mean, it's just beyond comprehension. It's just wicked and beyond comprehension.
Yep. Some people think that the rules don't apply to them. And I mean, just because you have a degree or you have a, high paying job or you're esteemed, that makes you a good person. No,
Right.
the two, what is it? Causation does not apply correlation, or correlation does not. Causation does not imply correlation. Just because you're up here doesn't mean that you're up here socially. Like,
Right.
Guess what? There are bad, shitty people up here that do really bad, shitty things. So there you
Exactly.
go. Like, yeah, picture perfect. But what kind of picture perfect is that? You have one son who's gone. You have another daughter who's basically who's going to be, in my opinion, on the run soon if she doesn't get nabbed. I mean, just disaster. And I mean, that's just it. It's all just on the facade. It's all just superficial. You scratch the surface and look what you see underneath.
Yes, exactly.
Who's
And
doing
Shauna
drugs,
said,
trips.
whoops, sorry, Julie.
No.
Shauna said Jonna. Sorry, Julie, and it came out Jonna. That goes to show you that I don't have a lot of calories in my body. My brain is still on food poisoning. She said, Judge E, did you hear him make the joke when Dizzy June was lost in the courthouse?
Oh yeah. Go get the FBI or again.
No, I missed that. What was that about?
Yeah, she got lost, which I guess she got lost in the Charlie trial too. Like she got lost to the courthouse, and then she was supposed to go again, and then lost again, and they cracked the joke was like, do we need to get the FBI?
Wait, who got lost?
That June person, where she seemed kind of like a ditz.
Oh,
she was a ditzy girl.
Right, she was one of the girlfriends, correct?
Yeah. She was a girlfriend after the thing happened.
Yeah. After,
and they were trying to from the water. So yeah.
Right. MCAT says, I love Judd Everett. Go get her done schedule. Yes. And he's he kind of inserts little jokes once in a while, but he's very professional, very articulate. He's a great judge. And MCAT, yes, thank you. Domestic coordinator, MCAT, thank you. And then Shauna, alert the police, call the FBI, find her. She's paraphrasing. Yeah. That
sounds like Roseanne, domestic goddess. I'm a domestic goddess.
That is so funny. MCAT says June is too cute by half. Oh,
I know. She is adorable. She was very cute. And then she waved at them too, like she was at a social event. Like, hi guys. Like, I don't know if you know you're at a murder trial, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. And then June's phone rang during her testimony in the Charlie trial. Oh, I'll have to go.
Of course it did.
For Friday night. I'll have to find a clip of that for Friday night.
Of course it did.
Oh my gosh. So I want to go back up here a second because I want to get something. Someone said something that I want to talk about. Yes. Okay. Thank you. MCAT. I love the bump. Great tool. Yes. So the bump, in case you guys are wondering. The bump was a great tool. So that was in 2016. So 2 years
Yes.
after Dan was unalived. And so the FBI operation was designed, I'm reading my notes here, to pressure the murder conspiracy suspects into talking after they had gone silent. So they were, I think they were quite concerned, Julie, and everybody in our friend zone. I think they were quite concerned in 2016 that they may never get anybody for Dan's death. I think they were starting to be concerned because there was things had just gone quiet, and I think they all thought they were getting away with it, right? And so they took it up to a whole nother level, and that's where they came up. So it says here in my notes that the staged encounter provoked the Adelson family, leading them to make incriminating statements that were secretly recorded by law enforcement. So
incriminate they did.
I found this really good explanation for you guys on the bump. So the setup. So nearly 2 years after Dan Markel's murder, an undercover FBI agent approached Donna Adelson outside her condo in Miami, posing as a, what'd you say, dear?
Miss Adelson.
Oh, yes, Miss Adelson. Posing as a blackmailer, the agent claimed to be an associate of the killers and demanded money for his silence. So the purpose of this, according to this little nice little setup here that I found, the purpose is the FBI tactic was nicknamed tickling the wire. So you gotta love that.
You goose them.
Exactly, because its goal was to stir up activity and generate chatter on a wiretap that had grown quiet. Now, you'd like to think that these people would be a little smarter, right, than that, and think that maybe, just maybe, 2 years into this isn't very long for a investigation, and you think they would have been thinking to themselves, we better be quiet for as long as we have to be. We better never talk about this ever again or mention it ever again. Because they're probably going to be listening to us. We have to be suspects. Who else would want to hurt Dan? But no. So the outcome, which is what they had hoped for, instead of calling the police, a rattled Donna immediately called her son, Charlie Adelson, in a recorded phone call. Donna revealed what had happened and admitted that the threat probably involved both of them. This and other recorded conversations help lead to convictions in the case. I mean, it's really quite amazing. And that should be used at the FBI at the farm. The farm is where everybody goes when you go through the training to be an FBI agent. It's nicknamed the farm. And
that's what Clarice was.
They should absolutely highlight what a great job that the FBI did, the agents did do. Whoever came up with which maybe it was a combination of all of them working the case who came up with this idea, the tickling the wire. But it's going to be legendary, because I don't think you would get convictions of Charlie without it. You might have somehow been able to get the other three, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it sort of was almost the perfect crime if they had shut their mouths.
Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, I was listening to the data dumps from the the phone towers, trying to figure out where's the connection, and they took the information where they're like, well, there's a ridiculous amount of all the cell phones where they're like, okay, like we know that he was tracked, but we're trying to figure out okay, who tracked him, because he went here, and they had surveillance and everything else, and they managed to find where they said okay, do we see any numbers in common, was Dan Markel's phone and location in the same place as anybody else's phone and location, and they couldn't piece it together, which means that I don't think that they wrote the code the right way, but they did manage to get a link down to, I think it was Harvey, and it was because Charlie and the girlfriend and the guy, I forget if it was Rivera or Garcia or whoever it was, got mad and called Harvey. And because he called Harvey, that was the link where they're like, okay, who the hell is this guy calling this, this random, what does he have, was he have a tooth issue? And then looked into it and was like, holy shit, this, precipitated all of this information. So I think they would have got him. It's just that, how are you so stupid to not shut your mouth and then act like Mr. friggin' tough guy? Look at me, I'm, I got an whatever you had, an M11, M4, whatever it was, and was like, oh, I'm totally going to be strapped while I'm in surgery. Oh, and then hang on 1 second, mommy, call the police. What a joke. But it's sad. It's sad that the shitbag had to meet his maker and go to the afterlife. I'm sorry. It's so sad that that poor Dan had to meet his maker by these shitbags, my opinion, to
and
do
the
him in
testimony,
like this.
like the testimony that we've heard, that we heard from all of them, it makes you just
Yeah,
feel,
that's who it was.
it makes you feel sick. Like I've never like really felt so sick as the testimony from.
Sad.
It's just sick, disgusting. Like they absolutely still have no, in my mind, they have no remorse or clue for what they did. Like Dan wasn't like even like human to them. It was just some way to make money.
It's just an inconvenience. Like, well, whatever. And it's like, okay, clearly he wanted to go somewhere else.
I mean the three that actually did it. Like Katie knew.
Oh, those guys. Yeah. I mean,
all along what was going to be done. And the two that the shooters, the shooter and the guy that drove him or whatever, the one who only got 18 years. Luis, right? Was it Luis that only got only 18 years? Because to me, why did he only get 18? I don't know, but they seem to have so little understanding of what they did. Like it just doesn't seem to matter to them at all that they took a person's life for literally no reason. Yeah. Never is there a reason to take someone's life. But like I've said before, you can kind of understand it when there's toxic environment and someone gets in a bar fight and someone gets accidentally unalived, or there's a shooting at a bar and people are drunk, or a stabbing or whatever, or there's a domestic violence and somebody loses their minds and unalives their spouse at that very moment. It wasn't premeditated. Those things are a little bit easier to understand. But when you talk about premeditation and hiring someone to unalive someone, and the reasoning is because you didn't want to live where you were living, because you were just so spoiled and so selfish, that because you married this person and you had kids with this person, and yet you don't want to stay in the same city, so you're going to let your family get so enraged about it that they are actually going to hire someone to unalive the father of your children. It's just despicable. It just makes zero sense. I mean, all unalivings are despicable, but this one has an extra layer of disgusting around it. And then of course the length that it's taken, which is good because they did do this case in such a way that they are getting convictions. I don't see how they won't get a conviction on Donna. Now, a lot of people have been, going in these chats and talking, and I think in Emily D. Baker and Melanie, the lawyers, a lot of people in their chats are wondering, is there really enough? It sounds like that this trial was more about getting Wendy arrested than it is getting Donna convicted. What do you think about that?
Well, so to go back to
Hi, Sherry D, by the way. Sorry, Julie. Sherry D popped in.
Yeah, I mean to go back to the other statement, when was it when Wendy was on the stand and they were asking her all the questions about like, well, but you conceded that you were gonna, make a go of it in Tallahassee, but your family, like your mother had other stuff and you were telling them this other stuff. It's like, wait a minute, you like, we're gonna make a go of it, but then you bitch and complain with your mother, and your mother, and brother are like, no, get them down here, get them down here. Like, that just goes to show me that it's like there's so little regard for life, where it's just like, oh, we'll just squish them like a bug. Like, oh, this person bothers me. Like, what is done? Well, like we'll blame it on like South Park, some Puerto Rican guy, and like that's what it sounds like. Like I know a lot of people are saying like, well, they tried to get Jeff and this and that. Like that was the plan. Like I don't think so. Like the way they sound, like especially in Charlie,
Oh, I don't know about that, Julie.
About the driveway, saying like, well, if I'm here and there's this brown guy there, who are they going to believe?
Before you go on, because I want you to continue, but I just want to quickly interject. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I know I'll forget. So I got to disagree with you on that. I think it does sound like they were going to maybe try to get Jeff as a suspect and maybe have to take the fall for this, or at least get him in major questioning, or possibly be a major a suspect. I just think it sounds like it to me. I mean, there is evidence that points, and I think Jeff had every right to be concerned that they were trying to set him up, because there was just a lot of testimony, in my opinion, that I think maybe they were, and that's really evil. And I you can have your opinion on it, but I think it sounds like, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say in the friend zone, but I really think it sounds like that they were possibly trying to get Jeff involved as the fall guy for this, because he makes the perfect suspect. He's the new boyfriend of Wendy, who wants to do, I mean, you can tell how smitten he was with her. People all over the media are not being super kind to him, because they're saying, they're calling him names, which I don't like. You can be smitten with someone and it's not a bad thing. You know, it happens sometimes where people just become overly smitten with someone, but they're calling him something else. And I don't remember what the word was. Maybe a simp. Is that it?
Simp, cock, all the not nice words.
But come on, you know, people, like, you know, he fell in love. He had, or maybe he wasn't even truly in love. Maybe it was a major crush. Whatever it was, she was an educated woman, a lawyer, an advocate. I mean, on paper, Wendy looks great. She's a pretty young woman, attractive, a mother, a hard worker, a lawyer. I mean, if you don't know that she was behind possibly trying to harm her husband, she would look like a great candidate. So I get it why he would have been taken with her, but I think that the evidence does point to her possibly trying to frame him to take the fall.
Well, I mean, I guess for like a second, like I know, like level number one was going to be, you know, some Puerto Rican guy, but then like maybe it's like, oh well, who, like, what if they, you know, snitch? Then we'll tie it to, like, potentially tie it to this guy. But I don't know, that's kind of loose. But they definitely 100% were going to be like, what are they going to come after us upstanding rich white people? No, they're going to go after these people who, you know, spent all their money and did God knows what. Even though it looks like the Adelsons, my opinion for what I've seen, look even trashier than anybody else in the gutter. So it is what it is. I mean, I don't think they're nice people. I think they're, you know, a lot of them are right where they belong. I think some of them are getting there. So my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that might have just been a backup plan. Like, let's get Dan as a possible suspect. So we got a backup plan.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
They can look at someone else other than us.
Steer
so
that way. Like in case they look here, steer them this way. But you know, first it's going to be like, look over there in the trash heap. But number two, it's going to be look over here, not us. Well, why would we do this? We loved him. Sure you did. Disgusting.
Exactly. Sherry D, welcome and great to see you again. She says Donna's Sunshine. Oh,
Donna's Sunshines. Yeah,
Drina B. Donna's Sunshine.
The Sunshine. Oh, that's Randy Moss. Sorry. There's there's the Sunshines, the grandkids, but then there's also Donna's New Sunshine, which was the jailhouse snitch. Which it was so bad that the Emily D. Baker lost her temper and called her names and was like, "I'm so sorry, I lost my temper," because that was just outrageous. Donna is a bad person.
So I think that's who Sherry D is referring to, right? Drina B. Donna's Sunshine. That's what
Donna Sunshine. Yep.
What it says. Have you ladies looked at her missing enhanced person flyer from 2018?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've just followed this case and a little bit from Gossip Room and Innuendo. Who Kathy does a phenomenal job trying to like summarizing all this up. She has it in 3 parts. She does a great job summarizing it up, and she's funny.
Sherry D, can you tell me in the chat? I'm gonna try to pull something up on that. What are you talking? I don't know anything about that. I know about Drina B and that was Donna was calling her jailhouse sunshine, and that she was trying to bribe her to testify with grand pianos and
pills,
getting new teeth, and possibly what else?
Drugs. Yeah, and drugs.
Or in a new house, maybe.
No, I think wasn't that the other one? I don't know. One of them was the piano in a trailer, and the other one was teeth and pills.
Okay. Oh God, it's terrible. It's all just terrible. Yeah. So let us know about that. And so tell me about. I'm not sure about what did Emily D. Baker do?
Oh, so when the second daughter, was that her name? Drina, was that her? She was the one that Donna wrote the script for and was like, and I think he was foolish because she's so fool or whatever it was, and like wrote the script. And they were explaining like what was going on. Like, what did she promise you? And it was like, well, she wrote the script out for me and she promised me this and this and this. And she said, well, she promised me to go talk to Dr. whoever the doctor's name is, like Dr. Org or whatever it was. It was Charlie's friend. And like, well, what's that guy going to do? It was like, well, he would write me scripts. It was like, don't you have an issue with substance abuse? And she's like, yeah, I've been trying. Like, I have, all these, charges. And Emily D. Baker lost her mind. She's like, you evil bitch. Why would you do this? She's trying. And here you are going like, no, take the drugs. Take it. It's fine. What's a little Percocet between friends? And she's like, no. Absolutely not. You're not going to fuck with somebody's sobriety like that. You're a terrible person. And then she was like, I'm sorry, there's no name calling. But I mean, we've seen Emily D. Baker lose her mind with like the loud stuff, but like this was like a different variation of that. But I mean, it shows it like that how maniacal these people are. They're like, who gives a shit? Like as long as it helps us, doesn't matter what these people do. Nope, no, thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yep, Doctor. Was it Dr. Obed?
Did yeah. Yeah, so everybody's kind of agreeing with both of us that it possibly, obviously they could have been setting up Jeff as a backup possibility and as a distraction. And Shauna says, interested in Julie's theory. Did you get a chance to finish that? Did we go back?
I don't know. Well, I mean, they're just bad people, in my opinion. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, it's like, no, he's a doctor, she's a lawyer. Like, well, what did these people actually do? I mean, I know the last like day and a half in court was just like trying to listen to like muffled conversations, and just sounds like some like wannabe thug, like, oh, look at me, I'm gonna go down there and I'll read them, you tell them this and that, and you blah 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 blah, and then there's like, mommy, cancel my car insurance for me, or whatever he was talking about. It's like, I can't.
Well, I think there's no doubt that those two, all three children lived very privileged lives, but the oldest one seemed to kind of
thank God that person, thank God he got away, because it seems like he has a heart, and was like, what are you people doing? They're like, oh, he's not like us, and like me being like the quote unquote black sheep of my family, being that I have a heart and don't like to use or manipulate people. Like I felt what he was going through. It's like, oh, thank God he got away, far away. I mean, it sucks though, because I mean, that's your family at the end of the day, and this is what they should do with their life. It's horrible.
It's got to be just horrible for him. Absolutely. So Sherry D says, hold on. Charlie, Wendy both started dating Katie. Jeff at the same damn time for a reason. Oh, I did not know that rumor was out there. I mean, I know Charlie was dating Katie. Are you saying Wendy is bi? Is that what you're coming across? Which I don't care. I mean, anybody can do whatever they want, and I'm all for it. You guys, you do whatever you love, whoever you love, everyone. But I didn't hear that, so that's an interesting addition to.
I don't know, that Jeff guy was talking about like some like really like freaky deaky stuff, and it's like, okay, in the Charlie trial, but that's what Jimmy was showing. Like, oh, this guy's like a freaky deaky. It was like, okay, I don't give a shit about that. Like, just tell us what pertains to this, because they were talking about like, oh, she's not okay, whatever.
What's the evidence? What pertains to nailing everybody for unaliving Dan? So then Sherry says, hold on, Julie, both hits. Jeff would have been looked at as a suspect. Okay, so that's the part that got me, Julie and Sherry D and everybody, is that they were trying to get his whereabouts for both, because they would have taken Dan on in June if they could have. If it would have worked out for them, he would have been unalived in June, not July. So they literally wanted to make that run up just to see if they could possibly pull it off, but they were also looking for dangers or for things that they need to be careful of. Or and for both of those times, June and July, there was bizarre, very suspicious behavior out of Wendy for Jeff's whereabouts. So I absolutely am on the side of believing. I'm doing some aromatherapy. A friend of mine gave me this aromatherapy. It really helps when you don't feel good. Aromatherapy really helps. I'm really for that whole theory that Jeff was definitely, they were trying to use him and set him up. Shauna says it's also odd for young mothers to get a man involved with their children, young children, so soon and during a contentious divorce. Most don't want to do that unless it's real serious. Right. There's very rare cases where somebody meets somebody, whether it's like the Brady Bunch, where you have kids, they have kids, and it gets serious fast, and you get married, and everything works out forever. But most young mothers, and I can attest to this because I was one. I was in my 30s when I got divorced. My kids were very young. I did not introduce my kids to anybody until they became a very serious person in my life that I felt was going to be there for a while and maybe forever. And if it didn't work out forever, then so be it. But then I would have to explain to my children. I knew I would then have to explain to my children where this person is, especially if we didn't stay friends, because not a lot of people can stay friends after they date. So I was super careful who got introduced to my kids and when. So I think I agree that in my opinion, that was incredibly early for Wendy to be having her kids hang out with some guy and basically trying to make that guy, as close to her children as she could, is what it sounded like to me. And just have, a crutch of an emotional support person. while she was going through her divorce, which is never good for the other person ever. I dated someone who was going through a divorce. It was not good for me. It did not turn out well for me. It's just never good. So yeah, but those are just opinions. Those are just my opinions. And I'm nothing against people that choose to date very early or choose to date right after they broke up with someone. That's all on you. That's your way. But I'm never good at that. And my heart takes time to heal. So I'm never good at just suddenly having a brand new boyfriend, or I've never had a brand new husband. I've only been married once, but everybody's different. Everybody's different. But I think that consensus is that you should give yourself a little time to heal, even if it's just a breakup, not a marriage. It's a breakup from dating someone. Just give yourself a chance to heal, people. It's really good for the soul. It's good for you as a person. But sometimes you meet the right person and it turns out and it works out, and that's wonderful, right? But in anything to do with Wendy, I don't think that was the case. Let's see here. What else do we got? Sherry D says, Dr. Obed, Charlie's friend, old roommate. Ooh, send to Kat. Oh, Shauna says send to Kat. What are we sending to me? I want to know. I might have missed something up above.
I think it was the flyer.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to see that. Thank you. I'd like to, if you could, Sherry D, let me give you my email. If you could email that to me, ACTTMSW@gmail. Sorry, guys, but this being down like that for 2 days really hurt my neck stuff. So my neck is.
Yes, I agree, Sherry D. Wendy is a nasty witch. Yeah, she doesn't seem like a good person. I mean, none of them do. And I feel my heart breaks for the Markle family. And again, I live by the creed that the sun rises and sets by Harvard University. You do anything like that to somebody who went to 2 degrees from Harvard and was using his stop in FSU to try to find a place at Harvard or Yale or one of the Ivy Leagues to teach there. So it's not like you were going to be in Tallahassee for 30, 40 years. Like, it was a stepping stone to go somewhere else, and to have this happen. And then like to see the picture with him and his 2 sons sitting at like the Seder table or the Sabbath table. Horrible. Just young guy, and have these 2, or from all, like, I know that like some people were saying like, well, the hitmen were like, they had a code of ethics because they weren't going to do anything in front of the kids, and they weren't going to do anything but they still took money to kill this guy that they didn't know, based on words of these assholes who none of them. Like, I feel bad. Like, I know they're like, oh, Katie McDonald's hair is wonderful. Like, what's Donna doing? Like, yeah, she had wonderful hair. The other one was bouncy. Like, they seemed like bouncy people. And yet what happened? Look at all the lives that got ruined because of this. Like, they have to grow up knowing, like, oh, you type in Adelson and look what comes up on the internet. Look what comes up here. They're away from their family. Like, it's horrible. And anybody cheer and I don't want to go sideways a little bit, but anybody like cheering or like trying to like oh, yay, funny LaDonna, like, well, no, this is real life. This like, I get like, okay, like, you gotta like laugh sometimes from crying, but nothing really funny about this. Sorry. Anyways, that's beside the point.
No, it's bad. It's terrible. And Sherry D, I don't know this case, obviously, like I know a lot of my other cases, because I haven't advocated for Dan Markle. So I've never built a case file on Dan Markle. So when I live stream on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and most Fridays, I have hundreds of slides on all the victims that I'm advocating for. But I wasn't doing this when Dan Markle lost his life. And I haven't added him into my advocacy because I don't know anyone in his family. And I'm just trying to show it because it's very much in the media, obviously, and it's right here in Florida. I'm only 3 hours from Tallahassee. So I'm happy to learn from any of you. I'm not up here trying to say I know everything about the Dan Markle unaliving, or I know everything about the case, because I don't. I'm just sharing with you my opinion on what I do know and what I have seen, because I have been watching the trial. I only watched about half of Charlie's trial. It made me so incredibly sad and frustrated. I had a really hard time watching his trial, and I wasn't live streaming then, or I was pre-recording, but my subject wasn't on advocacy for homicide victims. So yeah, I'm always willing to learn more about these cases as well. Like, even though I feel like I'm somewhat of an expert now on all the families that I'm working with, because they have made me their expert on their cases, and I became an expert on Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, because I literally watched everything I could watch about it. But if some of these cases that I'm not actually advocating with the families for and with, I don't know as much as you may know, because you may be watching it more closely than me. So please educate me. Teach Julie and I anything you want to teach us on Friday Night Lives when we bring up a case that's in the media, but that's not necessarily one that I'm actually advocating for on Social Change Warriors. But,
Well,
I
this
am
is kind of like impromptu too,
Oh, sorry.
What happened? Well, yeah. This is kind of impromptu. I think you muted. Nope, you muted.
Yeah, I'm muted because Tanner's alerting me to something that's going on in my front yard. So he heard the garage door come up. So that's all. It's a dog alert. So I.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, MCAT. Donna's ways, like the whole entire, like I can only eat carbs, and my ears, oh my ears, and then the way that she doesn't want to listen and she turns the thing sideways, that's funny, because you know what? Good for you. I hope that you only eat carbs and you eat honey buns until your ass explodes. How about that? But anything else, I don't think it's funny. But
Oh yeah, no worries, Sherry D. I just wanted to make sure you guys all know something. I wasn't worried about anything you said. I just always like to let people know that if I'm not as up on a case as I am on other ones, I like to let you know that. But I still like talking about them. I still like chatting with you guys about them. And yes, it's hard to keep up with. It's hard when I don't have mods, when I have a lively chat, even if it's just 4 of you, because it's a lot that's going on. And I'm still trying to talk on the fly because Julie and I don't have a script. This is live streaming. So I fall a little behind sometimes with the chat, and I'm sorry about that. And I welcome any of you that want to become a moderator. I'm happy to have you. So if you think you want to moderate our chats on Friday Night Lives for me, because I don't really need a moderator for the other nights, but this one gets a little bit more lively with the chat, even though it's only a few of us that are here live. But the replay is pretty darn good. So I like to put up everything you say, because then the replay gets to enjoy what you had to say. So we'll see. I'll see if I can recruit a couple moderators for Friday Night Lives, because then I can give them the ability to help me out with everything, to keep up with you all with your very witty and intelligent comments. So, all right, that's all for now on the Adelsons. There'll be more because I've been watching the trial. I'm only 1 day behind now, so
Donna's going to testify soon, and that's going to be interesting to hear, because I mean, I don't know if her attorney is going to take sleeping pills and then she's going to snore and then Donna's going to testify, or what's going to happen, or who knows? I mean, or they're going to bring an alligator in, like, Donna's my best friend, and throw a chicken. I don't know.
But before we close out on the Adelsons tonight, I did see a lot of people comparing Jen McCabe to Wendy. And I wanted to ask you all what you thought about that, because there were moments where just the way she testified and her facial expressions and was so much like Jen McCabe. And it was really interesting to me. And so I thought I saw a lot of that on social media. So I thought I'd ask you guys about that. Oh, thank you, Sherry D. I'll check my email. What did you think about the comparison, Julie?
To Jen McCabe, I mean, if you listen to Wendy, she's. I mean, you could tell she's a lawyer, because she's basically saying, like, well, that doesn't sound like something I would say. I don't believe I would say that. Like she. It's very, very, very deliberate. And I mean, I guess, but I mean, it's. I don't know. It's like comparing apples with oranges, but yeah. This guy, I mean, that's what they were saying. Like, well, he would have said, like, at least he was being honest. He was like, well, if I knew this guy had money, I would have just robbed him, because, we would have just done that. Like, okay, but you didn't.
Yeah,
he was doing other. Like, I guess it's not. It's
right.
It is what it is.
He was definitely honest, and and they asked him, why are you telling stuff now? Why are you sharing things you didn't share before? And he said, well, I just felt it was time. And that's basically
the other one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what the other one said as well. And that's what Katie said. That's what they all said. Hey, we're in here doing time. We're in here for life, except for the.
Yeah, Katie. That's what I meant, Katie. Not. I don't think anybody's heard from the other one.
No, and I don't think Luis said anything about changing his testimony. I think he just basically stuck to the same script he did for Charlie. But he seemed very honest. It was just it's just the way he talked about things. It just felt so cold. But I think anybody that can be involved in a M word for hire, it has got a cold soul. So there's that, right? So rest in peace, Dan Markle. We're incredibly sorry and sad. advocate for you through this trial and maybe through the next one of Wendy as we go forward here. This will be an interesting week, and I'll be watching it every day. So we'll bring you up to date on it on Friday Night Lies coming up this next Friday.
One thing that I did want to say is because I know that this was brought up during the Karen Reed trial, is that like comparing how Karen Reed was dressed throughout the whole entire two trials and everything else, and then comparing
Right.
Jen McCabe on the stand, where Jen McCabe in trial 1 had blazer, was dressed like more professional, but trial
Right.
2, she softened her image. She was a little bit more like business casual, and like softened, looked sad, and was like not
Right.
as like snippy and everything else. And so she kind of took the like we talked about this during the trial, she kind of took the approach of like softening herself, like looking sad and looking like like you had nothing to do with this. Like she took the advice everybody was giving to Karen, like look sad, dress down, like do this, like who said that? I don't know if I think Melanie might have mentioned it, but I know Catherine Loftus mentioned it, and she took a lot of shit for it. It was like, look sad, dress down, like don't look like your attorneys. And like we talked about, it was like, well, like I prefer a blazer, but like if you're going to soften yourself. And that's exactly what Jen McCabe did in trial 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, again, I only have bits and pieces to compare with Wendy. Again, she's a lawyer, so she's coming at this a little differently, but I know that she was, like people were talking about, like she was more like demure, softer, like,
Right.
like she didn't like fight with the prosecutor. What's her name? Georgia Kappelman.
Right.
Where I know people were all like, yay, go, like she's doing great. Like they're just like bing, bang, boom, done, like let's go, like getting them out one after another. So
it's going to be interesting. This will be an interesting week. So they had off today.
yeah,
so
Markel.
I will keep you updated on when we come back on Friday Night Lies with what I learned. And I'm sure Sherry D and Shauna and all of you MCAT will have some things to add to that too, as you watch. So I just wanted to remind you all that I put up our banner, Liars Gonna Lie, because so many of these cases involve just blatant lies constantly, which is why we call our show on Fridays Friday Night Lies, going over the testimonies from the different trials around the country and from witnesses and suspects and all the lies that we hear. And one of the biggest liars of all, obviously, was Matthew Farwell, because he was living a lie for all those years that he was being supposed to be a trusted, honorable police officer with the Stoughton Police Department. And all along, he had groomed Sandra Birchmore from age 13 or 14. I've heard 2 reports on that, so let's just go with 14. And then essayed her possibly at age 15, and definitely was involved in a very not non-ethical relationship with her after she turned 18, and just despicable. And then eventually unalived her because he feared that she would witness against him regarding his just nefarious, disgusting criminal behavior from all those years. And it's hard to say how much. Sorry about that. Alert.
Are we all yelling? Okay.
It's just the garage door alert.
Well, I'll yell. Yeah, Georgia Peach.
My son is coming in and out, opening the garage door, which causes Tanner to give me his alert. So I was muting to spare you all from the very loud Bernadoodle garage door alert. Anyway, we've talked about Matthew Farrell many times on our channel. We have advocated for Sarah Birchmore for a year. I was following her case way before I ever live streamed. This is extra despicable for me, having been a mother and having worked with kids in programs that wanted to be police officers when they were older, and wanting to have been when I was a child. I was a patrol officer. I was a safety patrol officer when I was a kid, helping with the crossing guards. And I remember what an honor that was to get my little orange belt that went across my outfit and stand out there in the rain or the shine and the snow, helping kids cross the street. That was my first real experience with wanting to be a law enforcement officer when I was in the 4th grade at 53rd Street School. And I know what it was like for Sandra when she wanted this. This was part of her calling, and it was taken from her by nefarious men at the Stoughton Police Department. Come here, Tanner. And they so deserve to go to jail for the rest of their lives for what they did to Sandra, especially Matthew Farwell and anyone that helped him cover up and frame her for her own unaliving, because she was framed for her own unaliving. And Mizzy, who's been with Barbara, her cousin. They've been leading the charge for justice for Sandra Birchmore way before it was cool, way before any live streamers were covering the Sandra Birchmore debacle and the terrible investigation into her unaliving, because they claimed from the get-go that she unalived herself, but they had mounds of evidence that she did no such thing. And we now know why they did that, because they definitely helped him cover up her unaliving. So somebody else has got to go down for this. It can't just be him. It can't just be that stinking dirty Matthew Farwell. And there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure many others, my opinion, YouTube, that his brother was involved in this somehow, and that William Devane was involved in this somehow. The jury's still out on what Joshua, come here, Tanner, come here, buddy. The jury's still out on what Joshua Heel's role was, but we know he did have past relations with her after she was 18, which was unethical because of his position in law enforcement. And it's all just a dirty, nasty travesty. So give me 2 seconds. I'll let Julie tell you a little bit more about the standout they did for Sandra. I'm going to let him out.
Yeah. So this last Thursday, oh shit, I can't. Well, that's okay. These are some pictures. Last Thursday, they had a standout at Michael Morrissey's office in Canton, who is the Norfolk County District Attorney's, where they had a standout basically saying, like, hey, what's going on? You haven't changed the death certificate. You haven't changed the manner of death. You haven't changed, you haven't charged anybody. What's going on? So there was a pretty good turnout. Resistant to Silence, the channel Resistant to Silence was there. I don't know if Dana, I don't remember if Dana and Tracy were there, but I know Kurt was, and they got, Mizzy speaking and made signs. So she's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, keep going. But one other thing that came out is that some documents dropped with in Matthew's case. His case has gone federally. So he was arrested federally. Go down to Uncle Joe's house. The department, the attorney from Massachusetts was dealing with that. That was oh my God, not she said Heel. I can't think of his name. Josh Levy. Then was taken over by Leah Foley. They're still charging it now. Again, since he was arrested last year, was August 25th or 28th. I can't remember the exact date. I think it was the 28th. When he was arrested. He has not been in front of a judge since the time he was arrested. Now, he just had a court date. They keep pushing it. And so they're saying, like, well, what's happening? He's supposed to go to trial, pretty soon because he's been here for a year. What's going on? He just hired a new death penalty attorney. Now, a lot of people are saying that, well, based on this, it seems like he's singing. And it seems like, neither side is really kind of pushing, like, we want to see him right here. Or we want to see him in front of the court. Neither side's really pushing. So if it seems like, like the feel of things is that he's starting to, sing and start to give something up. Now, documents just dropped. They said that it's either 36,000 pieces of evidence, because they're all bait stamped, or 38,000 pieces of evidence. But whatever the number is, it's higher than 35,000 pieces of evidence that they've gathered from statements, whatever it was. Now, I think it was not this past weekend. The weekend prior, there was a standout in Dedham, Legacy Plaza for it's where the Free Karen Reed standouts would be. Now it's for Justice for John O'Keefe, Justice for what's going on Norfolk County, for Just on Route, Sandra Birchmore, all these other cases that are going on. Enrique Delgado Garcia, who also had some updates. While they were there, again, Resistant to Silence was there. The channel Resistant to Silence, they do all the standouts and their boots on the ground. Peter Murphy was there. Sergeant Peter Murphy, former Canton police sergeant. He was there, and he said the scuttlebutt is around town that there's been agents talking to people associated with the Birchmore case. Now, he was arrested a year ago. Why all of a sudden are they starting to talk to people? If, again, this is true. Now, it comes from Peter Murphy. He's a trusted source. And again, he's saying that scuttlebutt is around, is that there are agents talking to people. And it will kind of go along with timeline. Now, Mizzy does God's work with this, has said, because no one's really pushing, he has 2 court dates, October 6th and October 16th. And what they're saying is that, like with the federal grand juror in the grand jury, what they're saying is that she had close dates, and what they're speculating is that she might have, I mean, this guy, Frau, might have a court date to plea, and then they might give him punishment the next court date. So they might be setting something up. Now, we're not sure what's going on there. But again, the speculation, Sean McDonough, Sean the Golf says the exact same thing. He's a former Fed, is kind of looking at this, and it's like, if he wasn't singing, you'd see a lot more from the prosecution, pushing like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But they're not really pushing to get him in court, like saying like, hey, give us stuff right now. But we haven't seen that. So we're going to see what becomes of that. Now with Enrique, the story, there was just an update to his death certificate. Now there's a whole bunch of crap that came out with just Machado, Brian LTL, Turtle, all that crap, where it seems like everybody's snipping at one another, and some information came out from that. And Turtle seems to have his approach, but information came out from NBC 10 that his death certificate came out, that it was adjusted. It said that Enrique was that he suffered from blunt force trauma, and that caused his brain to basically bleed, and that's what ended up killing him. That he ended up having his head beaten so badly that his started a brain bleed, and he ended up succumbing to that. Now, when they were doing this training, again, they called it a training exercise, but the unspoken rule of what goes on at the Mass State Police Academy, what goes on in other police academies, because it's not just exclusive here, that they have fight night, where they, have these nights where they either, allegedly they, invite other troopers, former troopers. They come in and they have the cadets fight one another, and they either, and they make a night out of it. They, allegedly take bets and whatever it is, and they pin them against like professional fighters and just say like, yeah, go ahead, go at them. But they have headgear on and gloves. So he had headgear on, which means that if again, this is what the death certificate says, which means that he would have been beaten so badly that his brain was basically beaten into submission, that it bled, and that's what caused him to become unconscious and eventually succumb to his injury and become brain dead. So, I mean, it just sat all around. But again, Turtle's been saying like I heard right off the bat that it was an aneurysm. And then the other part that came out from the story said that he had inflamed, what is it? Not endocarditis. Oh my God, I can't think of the casing around the heart. It's that he had inflamed casing around the heart. What is it? The perineum. I'm confusing my terms, but they're saying that was secondary issue. Now, again, we just saw with the case that we just saw up in Haverhill, the Francis Gigalotti case, where they're saying like, well, it's because he was on drugs and that's what happened. Like, well, not exactly. I mean, yeah, your heart could be like, tissue around the heart that encases the heart could be inflamed. But if your brain is beaten in, what's inflammation around the heart going to do when that comes into it? So there's just a lot of information coming out. The family's dealing with this. The family says like, hey, we're still pushing for this. We're still, trying. The Mass State Police released a statement saying like, well, we're still praying for him. We've made adjustments and we're, doing all this other stuff. So there's just a bunch of other stuff going on. So that's that.
Thank you, Julie. That was great. I just had to run Tanner out. We're at 1:47 hour mark.
No worries.
Yeah, I needed to take him out. We're probably not going to go as long as we usually do on Friday Night Lies tonight, because as you guys know, I'm recovering from vertigo episode, which I get about every 2 to 3 weeks. I'm used to those, but they're not fun. And food poisoning, which I do not get every 2 to 3 weeks, thank God. And I hope I never have again. So to all of you that have had food poisoning, you have my deepest condolences, empathy, beyond empathy. I just went to get some chicken and rice soup here that I'm going to sip while we show you some videos. And I've still got my smart water. Thank you to Kathy and all my friends for the past few days who gave me great advice about what to eat. And obviously I had no appetite at all on Sunday, so I didn't eat anything because I didn't want to, but I've been nibbling on a few crackers and chicken and rice soup. And Kathy told me applesauce. I forgot about applesauce. Thank you, Kathy. My friend John reminded me about the good old, what's that called again? The brat diet, right? Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
As rice, apple sauce or apples and toast.
Yeah.
So
Well, better out than in.
yeah, Sunday I couldn't do any of that, but I was able finally Sunday night to have some chicken broth and keep drinking water. And I sipped a little bit of 7-Up because I just needed something in my mouth that tasted like something other than just water. So I'm getting there, but my neck is super bad today because of being in bed for too long. That's the problem with when a person who has a chronic injury, and all of you that out there that do, and most of you have something. When you have a chronic pain, chronic injury somewhere, it feels worse when you don't walk or exercise or lead a normal life. It actually feels worse if you stay in bed for too long. And so my neck does not like it if I'm down for too long. So being down like that with food poisoning for almost 24 hours, just flat out on the bed, my neck is not happy with me. So we're not going to be able to go as long tonight as we normally do, but we will. We have a couple more topics that we're going to cover. And then whatever we don't get to tonight, we'll roll over to this coming Friday Night Live. So next up on the docket, and thanks for doing such a great overview of everything going on with justice for all of those beautiful humans. Let's go. Let's talk a little bit about Michael Proctor, because who doesn't like to talk about Michael Proctor? He's such a likable guy, that Michael Proctor. Oh my Lord. I wonder if we get such a small view, right, into people that do nefarious acts. So were they ever decent? Was he a decent person before this all happened, or was he always in on all the shenanigans of whatever this department has pulled off over the years under Berkowitz? I personally, Julie, this is my opinion, everyone, I do believe Berkowitz was involved in this, but I think because he had cancer and was passing, they kept him out of it as much as they could because it was the end of his life on this earth. But I really think that man passed away with some pretty deep secrets. I don't know what all of you think, but I really think that I think he was calling the shots to protect Higgins and Alberts. I don't necessarily think I don't think Proctor was in charge of all this. I don't think he ever was in charge of this cover up, this framing of Karen Reed. I think he was a useful tool and willing to go along. And thank you, Kathy. Appreciate the happy anniversary. Glad you made it tonight to the anniversary party, our delayed episode of Friday Night Lies. So what do you think, Julie? What do you think about what I just said about good old Berkowitz?
Well, I mean, the guy. I mean, I don't want to speak too much about the guy because he's not here. But I will say that as his role, again, we got to separate. He was the chief of Canton PD. Michael Proctor was a Massachusetts State police detective.
Correct.
In the Norfolk County detectives.
Right. He wasn't his boss. Right. I wasn't trying to get anyone to believe he was his boss. He wasn't his boss, but no. Canton PD was involved. They were there. It was their call, right? That was their call that night. That was their case to investigate until it got turned over to the Massachusetts.
So that's just it. So I was listening to or a little piece of because I was looking for Trooper Paul's report, and for whatever reason, Paul Gallagher came up, Lieutenant Leafblower. He came up, and there was a little blip of his testimony from trial 1, and it said that because he was, and Lally talks about it when the little piece I'm going to show in a bit. Lally talks about first on the scene were Canton quote unquote detectives, and Gallagher was there, and he said, well, it wasn't an unintended death because the rule in Commonwealth of Massachusetts is that any unintended death goes immediately to the state police. Now, we just saw one, 2-3 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago. The guy just turned himself in, Weymouth. There was a guy who was, found not living in his car outside of the Weymouth hospital. And turns out somebody drove him there and, took off. And then they found the guy and because he turned himself in. But they showed the scene and it was all blocked off like the way exactly you're supposed to do it. But I didn't see any state troopers. Now, they could have been plainclothes state troopers. I don't know. But there was Weymouth police right there and, hospital security. And that was an unintended death. Nobody saw what happened. There was just a body in a car with, a gunshot wound to his head. And I didn't see any state troopers. And in this case, Paul Gallagher says like, well, I didn't know that this was an unintended death because he was still living and he could have just, keeled over and could have just been sick and went there. So I blew the crime scene away. Like, that's not what he actually said, but that's what his actions did.
Mhm.
So, and they're basically saying like, well, yeah, we went there and then we found out like, oh my God, the guy died. And was like, oh, I better call the state police now, but not after I screwed up a crime scene by blowing it away. Like, no matter what they say, like, we were trying to preserve this because there was a lot of snow coming and that was the best chance that we could have got. Like, okay, then why didn't you stay with it and process the whole entire goddamn, like, okay, I'm going to go crazy now, but
watch your swear words now, because as I explained earlier, because we have over 1,000,
can't say all the bad words now.
We now get a little bit of revenue from the ads. We have qualified for that because we have enough subscribers for that, and that will help us cover our costs. So I was told by YouTube in a little memo that I read that a little bit they'll let us get away with, but we do have to be careful now.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to come with the bleep button.
We need a bleep button now. Yes, we do. Actually,
Yep.
and you know what's funny though is I can go back and we can bleep out anything that they say we shouldn't have said. So
I'm sure that's gonna come. I mean, it'll take a 4-hour episode and turn into an hour and a half.
No, I don't think it'll be quite that bad, Julie. Lieutenant Leafblower. Yes, I was laughing so hard, Kathy. I had to mute my phone because I just took a sip of my chicken soup when Julie said Lieutenant Leafblower. I almost lost it. Thank you, Kathy.
I mean, like even in the
my God.
like even in trial 1, it's like, well, we were first on the scene, and the way that, well, I mean, I forget the judge. I don't know if it's Krupp or whoever it was. Like when Karen gets indicted, calls him Mr. Lully. It's like, well, he definitely got that right. And Mr. Lully to sleep. He says first on the scene is the Canton detectives. Excuse me, the Canton detectives show up, and it's because, well, we found a body in the snow, and so they're like, oh, it must just be some drunk guy. But don't look at anything else. Let's go get a leaf blower and blow the crime scene away because I don't know, we had to preserve something. And then they said like, oh, and then he passed. And then they called two detectives from the Mass State Police. That was Proctor and Yuri. And then he describes how they went to the hospital and how they went to the autopsy. Now, isn't that interesting? Because didn't they say that Proctor wasn't at the autopsy when Lully says it, February 3rd, I think it was? In 2022, says all this stuff. So a lot of stuff is interesting, but it's very interesting how they say like, he was, he didn't go to the scene. He went to the hospital. He went, saw the vehicle and everything else. And like, yep. And like 16 hours in, like says all this stuff. And they're like, and like, even in like the internal investigations, like, well, that didn't like, him telling his friends about all this other stuff didn't affect how he processed the scene or like how he handled stuff. Right. It was everything else that he did, how it was,
well, my opinion on Professor Leafblower. I'm still
Lieutenant Leafblower.
That. And there were some aunties that put out there that this is a common practice of law enforcement.
Wrong. No.
To use your leaf blower, and especially where there's snow, I'm like, no. This is not a common practice.
An unusual circumstance in New England to have snow.
It is not in anybody's police manual to pull out. Now, could they possibly do testing now because they became so famous using this leaf blower? Could possibly some other police departments decide to try this? No. They already they've already done this. The only okay, so what he was talking about, and I think we mentioned this. Oh, see this, Belichick, do your job. See, Belichick's on TV now and he's talking about doing your job. What perfect timing. So okay. That's because his team's playing tonight.
Well, yeah, but
his North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah. So the case that Lieutenant Leafblower was talking about, Gallagher was talking about a case where like, well, I was thinking so quickly, how could I do this? And I went and said, oh, I know that I've read somewhere that this was used sometimes to, in Alaska. Yes, that was found on a crime scene where there were footprints all around, and then they disappeared because snow fell, and they're like, okay, we don't know which way this person went. Did they go this way? Did they go this way? Did they go that way? Which way did they go? So they took a leaf blower to a scene that was already processed. Like, we need to figure out where this person went, and blew the snow away so they could find footprints. They found footprints and said, "Yep, there we go. We found where this person went," and they were led to wherever they went to, wherever the crime may or may not have went to.
Right.
They did not go to a novel crime scene where they have no idea what happened aside from the guy was at a bar, and blow the goddamn crime scene away. Like, I don't know why people don't, like, in my opinion, based on my leaf blower science I did in my driveway and my little experiments and tests to see, like, maybe this is possible. Nope, not at all. Sorry. Nope. I don't know why he's not criticized more. I think it's because more people haven't seen, like, what it actually looks like. Because in theory, you're like, well, maybe it is a good idea. Maybe it does look like it slowly peels it away. No, not if you actually know what you're looking at. God, it makes me crazy.
I have to read everybody. Kathy posted Lieutenant Leaf Blower, and I put that up. Everybody loved that. I'm sure of it. If everybody was on mic, we heard a collective laugh because your humor is wonderful. But then MCAT, who is easily as funny as you are at times, you two tie each other in my funny book, writes, Lieutenant Leaf Blower still convinced he didn't blow the investigation.
He did a tremendous job. Tremendous. Innovative. So innovative.
Thank you, MCAT, for piggybacking on to Jules' very brilliant humor. And so then
innovative.
Shauna chiming in here. So strange, Annie Cushing, okay, paternal aunt of Ty Lee Ryan, has a channel, non-monetized. She uses all the buzzwords YouTube never strikes her. Yeah, we're not going to get strikes for swearing, but we won't get monetized for swearing. So there's a difference. So we don't do super chats because I don't really like those, but I don't care that other streamers do. That's great. I just don't want to do those because I'm not here to make a salary. But I have a Cash App and a Venmo that I've shared with you guys. And that's just for, if you want to leave tips or whatever you want to call them to help me pay for StreamYard or some of the costs of doing this 2 to 3 times a week, that would be great. But I'm not doing the super chats, but we are technically monetized now because we have over 1,000. We qualify for what's called AdSense, and we get a kickback from the ads. Now it's very small when you're a small grassroots channel like we are, but they can take away that little bit of money that we will get if we do or say something or show something egregious. Then they'll unmonetize that particular live stream show. So I went back and looked at all of our shows, and there's a couple that have got a red $sign by them in my YouTube channel studio, which means we did or said something that took away any type of monetization because the ads don't, want that or like that when you do things that are too egregious in their eyes. So I know one of my live streams about domestic violence where I got kind of into it on one of the cases was too much for them, which is fine. That's not going to stop me from advocating or saying what I believe in, because again, we're not trying to monetize this channel for income. We just would like to cover our costs is all that we're after now. So that's why Shauna, that she doesn't care because she's not trying to be monetized. My assumption would be she probably has a Venmo or a Cash App or a PayPal, and she's getting some donations that way to help cover her costs. Can
we still talk about Schmurder Sharks?
Yes, I think as long as we don't say the M word too much. I mean, I've said it a few times accidentally, and we've never got a strike for that. What we've had strikes for is when we played someone else's channel and they complained about us, which was that young kid. I think
mass accountability.
Yeah, we innocently played some of his stuff in fair use. I don't think I should have went against that. I should have filed a complaint against that because that was all fair use. We were starting, talking, and we even gave him kudos and credit. So that we shouldn't have had a complaint for that. I should have went ahead and fought that one. We did get a strike for playing some music a couple times because we wanted to. So we know we were going to get strike for that. But it's not a strike. It's kind of a slap on the wrist. There's a big difference. If you do something really egregious and your channel gets reported, if you get 3 strikes, they will take you down. You will be bye-bye internet, no more YouTubing. You'll have to go use a different platform. So we've never done anything close to that. When I say that we have a strike, it's not really a strike. It's just hey, you just used some music that's copyrighted. And so, that you can't monetize you tonight, and you're getting this little strike slap on the wrist, but it's not one of the big 3. One of the big 3 has to do with if we were defaming people, if we were doing some of the things that some of these other content creators have done with their nasty selves and actually hurting people and saying things about them that aren't true, they should be getting, they can get a strike, and they can, or like this happened, for instance, with somebody put up someone else's content without their permission, and they reported it to YouTube because they were using their content and it wasn't with their permission, and they weren't really using it for fair use. And so that person did get an actual strike on their channel. And if you get 3 of those, they will take your channel down. YouTube is very strict about that. So we've never even come close to having strikes of that magnitude. Ours were only to do with licensing for music. Like JFK, he always talks about, he's not monetized. He just has his Cash App and his Venmo app. People contribute to him that way, thanking him for his service of being a live streamer. And he's actually doing it like kind of part-time. I think it's kind of a part-time job. So I have nothing against anybody who live streams for money, because this is a job for some people. It's not easy to do this, you guys. And you also have to prep for it. Live streaming is no script, but you do have to prep. You have to know your subject. You have to understand your subject. You have to be ready for questions and comments in your live stream chat friend zone. You have to be ready to go with your guest or with your co-host or whatever the case may be. This takes talent. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn or Julie's own horn, but this does take talent. Not everybody can just get up here and live stream 2 to 3 times a week. And so I totally appreciate all of the live streamers and content creators out there that are getting paid to do this. They should be getting paid to do this. I just choose not to because I'm retired and I don't need to. But I do appreciate, like I said, any donations that you guys make, or if you become a member of the channel now, that's a donation to the channel. And those are all appreciated. And everybody, I do those for people that I've done that for Emily D. Baker, for Melanie. I've done that for several content creators I like. I've joined their channel and paid the 99 cents or the $1.99 because I do appreciate it. Because now I even know more so what goes into this and how much work behind the scenes you have to prep for all these live streams to pull them off in what to you guys seems pretty seamless. Whether you like our channel or not, or we're your cup of tea, I think Julie and I do a damn good job. I think we prep well. We spend the time so that we can bring you some entertaining / very deep dives into the true crime cases and the advocacy that we're doing. So thanks, Shauna, for mentioning that, because I've always wanted to kind of talk about that and help people understand YouTube and how it works and what monetization means and super chats and what all of that has to do with. And AdSense is a totally separate little ball game that you don't qualify for till you have over 1,000. But if you can imagine someone like Turtle Boy, Aiden Kearney, Kearney? I always say his name wrong. Aiden, Turtle Boy. Turtle. He has over 160,000 subscribers now. So if you can imagine, if you get paid AdSense off of the views that watch your channel, the amount of money he's getting from AdSense now is quite a hefty check every month. And you only get the check, I think, once a month, and you have to have $100 to even get a check. Like I haven't even gotten anything yet because we haven't even reached $100. That's how little bit of AdSense we're getting, because we're a very small grassroots channel. But people that are doing this for a full-time job, and they have every right to, and I'm happy for them that they found their niche in life, they're getting paid pretty good for what they do, and they deserve it. Because again, this is hard work. This is not easy stuff. So I'm happy for all of them, and they deserve it. They work hard, and nobody should have anything to say about their money. We pay for things we love. I pay for Starbucks because I get a kick out of it. I like my app. I like my stars. I like peppermint flavoring in my coffee. I'm paying a ridiculous amount of money for a cup of coffee. I understand that. But if I watch a content creator, a YouTube presenter, and I like their shtick, I like their, their persona, their brand, as people like to call it now, which I think is a little weird, but then that's cool. Then donate to them because they deserve it. That's how they make money. That's how they're living and paying their bills. We all have things we love to do and things we like to spend our money on, and that's our own personal business. So it's all about what you like to do and where you like to drop your bucks, right? Some people love to shop. I've never been a shopper. I don't love shopping. I only like to go if I absolutely need something. I don't like grocery shopping. I don't like clothes shopping. I don't like any of it. I all of you that do, yay, good for you, but it's never been my thing. Let me be at a football game, a basketball game, a hockey game, any day of the week, but don't make me go shopping, please. So anyway, let's see, where was I? So I got to catch up now to the chat, but thank you, Shauna. I'm so glad you brought that up because I really wanted to clarify that for everybody that's been watching our channel, wondering why I'm suddenly saying we are monetized, but it's just from AdSense. It's not a very big amount, and I'm taking no salary from it. Anything we get only goes to the program cost. So that's where we're at. And as we grow, if we get to be a bigger channel, then we'll come up with some type of a fund for donations for things that we care about, because I will never take a salary for this. So whoever takes over Social Change Warriors after I depart this beautiful planet, this rock, then they can do what they want to do with monetization. But I will never take a salary, but I will be glad to take program costs and to also donate to others that we feel we want to donate to. So that's something on the horizon, hopefully, as our channel grows, thanks to all of you lovely people. And speaking of that, I have since we're on this little topic right now, taking a little break before we get into Trooper Paul, I do want to, oh shoot. Now, of course, I'm getting brain fog because I've had like 0 calories in 2 days. Julie, where was I going with that? Something I want to remind you of. Oh, I would like to ask all of you, since it's our anniversary, this would be my gift to me from all of you for our anniversary and to the channel. If you could recruit one person to come to subscribe to our channel, and even if they can't come every week, or maybe they only can come once a month, or they can only come on the replay, it's all good. Whatever advocacy they can help us with, maybe even if they get interested in just one of our homicide victims who we're fighting for justice for, because it's in their state or it's in their town or it's something that's near and dear to their heart, the subject of what happened to them, that would be really great. So if you could all just send out an email or go on your socials and try to each bring one person to Social Change Warriors, I'd love to try to get our subscriptions up so that we can reach more people with our advocacy. That would just be wonderful. So thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. So anything else that we want to talk about or say about Proctor right now? I mean, for me, it's just blah, it's like if they let him back on the force, I'm going to lose my mind. Let's just say that. I'm going to lose my mind. There's no way he should be back on the force, regardless of why or how he got involved in this cover up or what he did or didn't do. He has proven that he needs to find a new career.
Well, do you want to watch some of what was said in the 2 days? And again, he still has 3 more days. They broke this up. They did 2 days.
You know what? Let's save that. Let's do that on Friday Night Lies. Let's start with that on Friday Night Lies. I don't think I have the stomach for it tonight.
So one thing we need to talk about is this Friday, the NFL season starts, and Friday is a game with Chiefs and somebody else. I think it's the Chargers, and it's on YouTube at 8:00.
Oh, so there's a Friday night pro game on YouTube.
Yep.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, what do you all think about that? We have a couple choices. We can go early or we can go late. Those are our choices, because I personally would love to watch that game. And NFL, we've waited all this time. Those of us that are pro football fans and football fans, I got to have my college start this week. MCAT and I. Her Iowa Hawkeyes got a non-conference win. My Badgers got a non-conference win. My USC Trojans got a blowout 73-13 non-conference win. I watched a lot of that in playback because I was so sick during the game. But I got to see so much scoring from the USC offense. It was insane. But this is start up for the pros. So I'm willing on Friday to go early or late. Whatever you guys would like to do. Can you maybe let me know in the live chat? Julie, what are your feelings?
I can't record it, so that's the only reason why. I just want to see what Mahomes does, because he's usually good for something. He's like Manning, like he's never really out.
Right?
Like it's like, oh, he looks like he would have been like squished, flattened like a bug. He's done, and then for some reason comes out. So I would like to see that.
Right.
And again, because it's on YouTube, I don't know how that works. If you could see it afterwards, or if they're just going to do it live and then that's it. So
I think we've got a lot of sports fans in our group. I'm pretty sure we do, and probably on the replay too. But I'm a fan of going early or going late. So what time does the pro game start?
I believe I saw it was 8:00.
Okay, so if it's exciting, we could say that we'll start like. I guess it depends on if you want to watch the whole game or if you're okay with watching most of the game and then joining us and then maybe joining us after. I'm okay with not watching the whole game if it's not close. If it's really close, then I may change my mind. We could schedule it for just do a late night Friday Night Lives at 10:30 Eastern. And then if it's a really close game, I'll just back us up till end of game.
Yeah, but that's gonna be what, 11 o'clock at night? I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's late. That's late to go. But it, we have to kind of do the best we can do now that it's football season. There'll be some other games on Friday nights that one of us or many of us may want to watch. So, I mean, our other option is to go early. Because people can catch us on the replay. So I say we go early on Friday. What do you
yeah, I don't mind going early. I mean, I can sit outside. It's nice.
Yeah, let's go early on Friday night. I like that idea. That way, why don't we go at 6 o'clock Eastern, and then we'll just do a 2-hour show. We'll just focus in on Proctor and some of whatever else is interesting to us this week. We can look at Proctor. We can look at whatever else is going to happen in the next 4 days, because we see this every Friday Night Lives, but something's always going on.
Oh, so there's always something. I mean, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean,
I know. So yeah, let's start out with the Proctor stuff on Friday Night Lives. Let's go early. I think I'd like to do that at 6 o'clock Eastern, and we'll finish up, shortly there after the kickoff. If we don't get done right at the kickoff, it'll be close enough.
Oh, no. I mean, we can go until 9. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen in the first half or anything like that.
Well, we can peek at it too. I can put it on my phone, and we can be kind of sharing and watching the game a little bit together as well. So,
and if it's YouTube, I mean, we should be able to put some of it up, and
we may be able to. Yeah, we'll see how that works. We may be able to. Yeah, that's a good idea. So good. Okay, let's go 6 o'clock Friday Night Lives. We're going to go early, guys.
Sounds good.
I'm a Chiefs fan, by the way, people. Where's my hat? Let me find it. I'm a Packers fan, obviously, first and foremost, but here it is. I got my Chiefs hat. I got to get that out now since we're talking about the Chiefs, Julie. I am a Chiefs fan. I have been. That's what makes me a good Chiefs fan, guys. I got to get this hat off. I was a Chiefs fan before when they weren't doing good, because my dad made me a Chiefs fan because he liked the Chiefs. So I got to go to the Packers-Chiefs game when I was 10 years old at County Stadium in Milwaukee. And I've been a Chiefs fan since I was roughly probably 8, 9, 10 years old, because I just love the Chiefs. And back in the day, I had so many favorite players. Lenny Dawson was their quarterback back when there's my Chiefs hat. Isn't that the best? It's got little flowers on it. I got a Packers hat like this too that my friend Kathy Coppins got me. Love you, Kathy. Love that hat. That's in Madison right now, so I could have it there when I go back home this fall. So I leave one Packers hat here and one in Madison. So there's my Chiefs hat for the night. So I'm an honest to goodness Chiefs fan, because I was a Chiefs fan when they sucked, when they did not do good. And Sean is right about this. It is hard to know. I look up the list, like we're not supposed to say the M word, which is ridiculous. It's a word in the dictionary. I have no clue why we can't say the M word. Schmurder. It's stupid. I don't, maybe they'll change it and just stop
for Schmurder sharks.
Yeah, just stop it. Stop it, YouTube. The word is M. It is, the M word is a word in the dictionary. It means something to crime and criminalists and journalists and anybody who follows true crime, and anybody that's ever been unalived. This is the stupidest word on the planet, because someday you're going to start, unalived will become a bad word, because it means something terrible, guys. M word and unalived mean the same thing. So softening the word because you think the M word now is too harsh of a word, it means the same damn thing. It's like the English language, there and there, there, as in they're going to the ball game, or over there. Can you imagine how hard it would be to learn our language when we have the same word for the same things? And it's the same thing with the M word, guys. It means an unaliving. It means somebody's life has been taken by the hands of someone else. It's never good. It's all bad. And YouTube needs to lessen up its restraints on some of these words, because it's just stupid. I'm sorry. It's stupid. And I was a journalism major, and you all know I'm much more liberal than I am conservative. And I think it's stupid. If I think it's stupid, it's stupid. So let us have our words back. This is ridiculous. We need to start a campaign. Let me have my words back. Hashtag, let me have my words back. Let's finish up tonight, Julie, in the science realm. Let us talk about someone we all know and love. Who do you think that could be, Jules? Who is someone we all know and love in the science world that we just can't get enough of?
Bill Nye.
Bill, the science guy.
That's right.
MCAT says, can't we all agree grocery shopping sucks? Yeah, I actually like grocery shopping, though, better than like mall shopping. I get like weird mall sickness. I have ever since I was a child. I think it's all the weird smells. And I think it's a little bit of I've always had a little bit of the car sickness, like vertigo stuff, even before my neck injury. So I think the mall stuff would bring on my kind of dizziness almost for some reason with all of the lights and the noise and the people. And oh, it was just too much stimulation for me as a child. I hated malls. And then MCAT, I've got high school football this Friday. I vote for late start. Oh, yeah, high school football. Oh, I know, because I love high school football, I have to say. And if I was back in Madison, I would probably go to my alma mater's high school football game, even though they're not doing very good anymore in football like they used to. But yeah, so this is a tough call for us, MCAT. But I don't know if we can go 11 o'clock Eastern's an awful late start for Julie and I, because we got to be sharp for this, right? We want to entertain you while we do this true crime, because this isn't about just about, it's a little bit of entertainment in a way, because otherwise you wouldn't listen to us or watch us at all if we were boring. So I just don't think we can, in good faith, I don't think we can do an 11 o'clock start. That would be kind of brutal. So I think we're going to have to do that. So maybe you can have us on your phone and check in and out with us and give us a little idea of what your football nights look like. I'm jealous because I do love Friday night lights. MCAT and Shauna are nocturnal. This is the truth. And Julie and I are somewhat nocturnal because we stay awake off screen many nights that you guys aren't aware of, but we stay awake off screen and talk in the green room for quite a long time after we live stream, because none of us can just go to sleep after all of this disturbing content that we cover here on Friday night. So it's hard just to let it go. So we do a lot of talking off screen in the green room before we close out. So I found something you're going to find very interesting, Jules. So this person wrote a long post on Reddit. I don't go on Reddit a lot, but there's always a lot of interesting, some good, some bad on there, just like any social media platform. I found this to be very intriguing. This person writes, long post with math. Trooper Joseph Paul, Commonwealth, crashed reconstructionist, does not understand high school physics. What do you have to say about that, Julie?
Yes.
I knew you would. So let me bring up a little bit of this to share with you. And then I know you have some things you want to share with us about Trooper Paul. So give me a second and I'm going to go up here to my main deck here in the production room and let me bring up what I found, because I found it very intriguing and I know you're going to science geek the heck out of it. And that's going to be exciting for all of us who don't know as much about science as you do. So let me pull this up. I got to click on it to get it to open. Come on, open up. There we go. All right. So this is a post on Reddit. So thank you. Phantom Split is this person's name. Thank you, Phantom Split. And I will go back on Reddit and thank you for letting me live stream about your post. This is very interesting. So let me just read to you the background that he wrote. So, and can you guys hear me okay? Yes, right?
Yep.
So for some, he says, hang on a second. I just have my camera turned off because it's easier for me to read my what I have pulled up to share with you guys. So let me go back to it. All right, where did I put it? I just opened up a tab for it. Now I got to go back and find it because I came back out of the production room. So it's a little tricky when I navigate myself in and out of the production room. Now I got to go back and look for it. Where did you go, tab? That's not it. Let me get rid of some of these. We've already looked at a lot of this stuff, so let me go back and get rid of some of this stuff. Then I'll be able to find it. There we go. So he says, long post with math. Trooper Joseph Paul, Commonwealth crash reconstructionist, does not understand high school physics. For some background, I have testified as a government in-person and expert witness. My background is with marine engineering on big ships, and I have an ABET degree in the field with a specialization in nuclear engineering. Very smart cookie, okay? I am wrapping up a master's in electrical engineering. It has been a while, but I tutored college-level physics, calculus, statistics, and electrical courses for 4 years for about 20 hours a week. I am not an expert crash reconstructionist, but I feel confident that I or any high schooler who just passed a physics class last semester would be a better crash reconstructionist than Trooper Joseph Paul, and his professional reputation should never, ever recover from this. First, I will rant, then I will crunch some numbers. Okay, what do you think so far, Julie?
So far, so good.
All right. Now this is funny. He writes, take the most basic question you can think of. for a profession or hobby you are interested in. Examples. What NFL team is from San Francisco, California? What is the signature sandwich at McDonald's? The most common seasonings include blank and pepper. These questions are all akin to asking somebody with a background in physics, what is the definition of acceleration? Trooper Paul, not knowing that acceleration is the rate of change of velocity, should disqualify him to work as a crash reconstructionist until he retakes every single reconstruction course he has ever taken. Maybe after this scolding, some of the info will stick. Trooper Paul, not knowing the equation for momentum, should disqualify him from working as a reconstructionist for the rest of his life. Side note, yes, there are other equations for momentum, but something gives me the feeling that Trooper Paul has never dug into nuclear physics or objects moving at the speed of light, where those equations come up. Trooper Paul, not knowing that momentum is conserved, should result in any case he has ever done as a reconstructionist being reviewed immediately. This was horrible, and I was almost as surprised by his competence as I was by Trooper Proctor's text. So what do you think so far of this guy or girl?
Well, okay. So I mean, you had me with the basic, like, you don't understand basic physics or movement or just like the building blocks of reconstruction. But then you start being into nuclear physics and everything else, and that's a completely different animal. Like, yep, the principle, like the building blocks still apply, but then you're talking about like other stuff, and it's kind of sort of comparing apples to oranges. And like, I get the point this person's trying to make where like, this is kind of like what I said, where when we talked about Judge Walter, which is you start with, right, like he has a doctorate in, I forget what his doctorate's in, but his building block is in biomedical engineering, not biomechanical engineering, biomedical engineering. But the building blocks of where that starts is with a bachelor's of science and and beneath that, either a minor or like a focus in physics. So you need to start with like physics 1, right, physics 2, thermodynamics, movement, like right, stuff like quantum physics, calculus, all that good stuff. You start with that. With what Trooper Paul's doing, you don't even need to touch that. You need to just get to the basics of saying you have an object that weighs this much, that the mass is this much, and it's moved this much. How much force was applied? That's literally high school physics. That's like one of the first things that you get taught in high school physics. So you don't need to bring all the other stuff. Like, I get like, okay, fine, you want to show off and say, oh, look, we're talking about all this other stuff. Like, nope, just talk about like how he didn't even qualify like the basics, and let alone he has an associate's in, I think it's basically like the equivalent of criminal justice, but it's criminal something or other.
Right.
But then, like he said, like I took a class where I had 40 hours of work in that class of reconstruction. So then, just because, again, like while I'm watching this, like the same thing with the leaf blower experiment, I'm like, you know what? Maybe that is a lot. Maybe that like I don't even know how much I took. So then I took, just for one of my minors. Again, I have minor in physics and in biology, and have a bachelor's in mathematics and chemistry. So just for one of my and I have the calculations in my kitchen. I wrote down like how much classroom time, how much lab time, how much do I need to get that minor degree. And I think I did the physics and biology, and I think one of them is at like 287 lab hours just for that minor. And that's just, I think that was for biology. Physics is a little bit, it's right around the same. But like, and then I was comparing, I was like, well, wait, what's one class for one semester? I want to say it's like 60 hours. So he didn't even get one class for one semester, and the amount of time that it would take him to be the reconstructionist for Norfolk County, doing these big, cases of saying like, hey, what happened to this car with this person who is no longer here? And I mean, again, when I watched him live for the first trial, I had to take breaks and like record, and was like, I can't, because I kept texting a friend of mine and was like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is real. If this happens in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, if you're, God forbid, ever in a car accident and the state and the police get involved, challenge the shit out of it, because what is this? What is this? This can't be real. He's talking about, like he literally said part of his stuff was that the reason why Officer John O'Keefe's car, his Traverse in the driveway, didn't dent, but Karen Reed's car might have, because there were scratches on the bumper or whatever it was that Karen's car was shiny. It had a shiny finish, and Officer John O'Keefe's car had a matte finish. And that's the reason why it didn't dent, because the paint on it was matte, and that's how matte finishes work. So everyone who has a matte finish in a car, don't worry. Trooper Paul says you will never dent your car, because that's how matte finishes work. Oh my God. Like, that was a real thing that was said during a trial on direct. Okay, I gotta calm down. That was a real quote that he said. He said, by the way, that doesn't work. That might work with like how like reflection works and how light is absorbed. That's not how force is absorbed. No.
It's a lot. All right, let's break down this next part. So he writes, an important note. Trooper Joseph Paul kept saying that he could not use existing techniques and equations to estimate how far Officer John O'Keefe was projected following the alleged crash.
Wrong.
This was due to Trooper Proctor's belief that Officer O'Keefe was sideswiped by Karen Reed's SUV. And most importantly, he said that using those equations would underestimate the vehicle's speed. Another way to say this is that the equations and procedures he is familiar with will overestimate how far somebody who is sideswiped will be projected. For example, say using procedures that Trooper Joseph Paul is familiar with determines that Officer John O'Keefe would have been propelled 30 feet. Once you account for Trooper Paul's belief that Officer O'Keefe was sideswiped, this turns out to be an overestimate. You would need to either make the car go faster, still to send the pedestrian the same distance, underestimate the vehicle speed, or using your fixed speed, i.e. 24 miles per hour, realize that the 30-foot estimate you obtained is too large and needs to be reduced.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this person is saying. I think what they're saying is that because the person was sideswiped and not a direct hit, is that you wouldn't get the complete impact. And he's basically saying like, well, you can't show 100% because 100% will be a direct hit, a direct strike.
Yeah. Well, I do get what he's saying. I mean, he's trying to let us know that Trooper Paul would be wrong either way because his argument doesn't match the science, right? That's the simple.
No. So I think what this guy's saying is that because Trooper Paul is saying he's sideswiped, you can't find any type of equation to say, well, he's sideswiped.
Right.
So
that's what I meant.
So what percentage is applied to this? But there are ways to apply by basically saying like, this is where he ended up. This is where the perceived car is. This is basically the angle. And therefore this is the percent that you would need hypothetically to do that. But it's not going to match if you're saying that he was sideswiped and he managed to rotate 270 degrees and have this thing land with him. That's like impossible unless it had something sticky that became suddenly not sticky and then landed underneath them to like, it's just like there's so much that needs to go right for this to work that just doesn't. But yeah, right. I get what this person trying to say. I just don't think it's coming across the way that they're trying to say it. But go ahead, continue.
Then he says, Trooper Paul is correct here. If somebody is struck from the side, then they will rotate. Rotation means energy imparted by the vehicle to the pedestrian. But that energy is not being used to propel the person away from the vehicle. If somebody was hit square on, then they would be propelled further than if they were sideswiped. So in the below calculations, I am assuming that Officer O'Keefe was allegedly hit square on. But as Trooper Joseph Paul notes, he could not be flung as far as the following estimates determine. The below estimate is an overestimate, and Trooper Joseph Paul may actually know it.
I think he's given this guy too much credit. I don't even think Trooper Paul did any of this by saying, all right, well, I need to adjust my numbers because this was a sideswipe and it's too far. I think he's given him a little too much credit for this, but okay.
Well, this is a huge post, and we'll chat about this a little more next week, because then he goes on to let's do it the high school physics way, conservation of linear momentum. And then he's got this crazy calculation up here that I would never understand in a million years. And so I'll make a slide for you of this for Friday, so you can take a look at this.
Yeah, that's probably similar to what I did in December, going through all this to figure out hypothetically, I'm sorry, not hypothetically, what's the empirical, like the bench, like remember I talked about like what happens in the bench standard, like saying like
Right.
if you're in a vacuum where there aren't any other forces and you're just struck by this, and if 100% is applied, what's going to happen? And then you end up with decreased stuff. But yeah, like that's probably similar, and there's probably a lot of deltas in there too, like the triangles.
Right. So when they posted Trooper Paul's report, his actual written report, it was put on Twitter by a lot of people. I found bits and pieces of it. I should have just saved it all at the time. I'll look for more of it for Friday Night Lies for this coming Friday. But this was one of the pieces of the report where he actually he used Yuri as his model, just like the genius used himself as his own model, only they didn't paint anybody blue. But so this really goes to show you that what was it, Welcher?
Yep.
Is that, yeah, that he actually did read Trooper Paul's report. And what do you make of all this, Julie?
Well, yeah. So in Trooper Paul's report, again, I know it's online somewhere. I know Melanie went kind of leafed through it a little bit and went through, and I was reading a little bit from it. And I mean, I know a lot of it was discussed in trial 1, because that's what I used when I did my Nagel blob experiment. I brought the blob up. I said, well, I can't really measure, where to put the blob, because again, according to Trooper Paul's report, it was 7 feet from the sidewalk. Well, 7 feet from what? 7 feet from his hands, his midsection, his toes, where he first touched, where his furthest part touched. You don't really know the body positioning of where things are. Plus, if you actually diagram where the debris field is, and where okay, we found this piece here, this piece here, this piece here, they're all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason to anything for where anything's found, and you can't piece it together with the formula. And again, having Judd Welcher kind of say well, the reason why I didn't do this is because you would have found one little thing that would have been off in the most minuscule way, and that would have blown the case. Well, you could have at least tried, because at least whenever you do an experiment and you do collect vast quantities of data, you're going to find variance. You're going to find error from people who collect. It's just going to be there. It gets calculated in the equation, so you could find something that's right. Like with firearms. You shoot firearms at a target. 10 out of 10 shots are not going to go through the exact same spot on the bullseye, on the X. They're going to do a spattering, and you're going to find this variation, but you're going to be within the 10 ring, and you're going to find based on how good of a shot you are, if it's tight or if it's scattered out. Same thing with data and stuff like this. You're going to get within the 10 ring. It's not going to be okay, we're going to get in the 10 ring, but then we're going to have all these outliers somewhere. If you have outliers, that means something went wrong. And so his explanation was a cheap cop-out, again, in my professional opinion of having done this and have in published in data and stuff like this with big name university. So I mean, just to have him there, but I mean, looking at what Trooper Paul did, and again, this was all done before Karen Reed was brought up on charges and arraigned, because I mean, it's read on her arraignment that what's Trooper Paul's he's from the cars team, that this was all done before she was arraigned, because Lully, as the judge says, brought up that he brought up that they did the test to see hey, if you back up, they had the Sally port and the dummy there to back up to see hey, can you see in the backup camera? Can you, beep? And it's yeah, it was alerted. So we know that this was some type of intentional. That's again what was brought up. But this was all done right then and there. And in the report that was written, I mean, he basically says okay, I went through all of this. I checked all of this and checked, the angles and checked the speed to see if it was accelerating, decelerating, see if the brakes worked, did all the stuff. And then he got on the stand and everything fell apart. So I think what happened was they said, well, all right, we're already stuck where we indicted her and we arraigned her and we bring her to trial on this. We can't have Trooper Paul get up here. So let's get somebody, again, this is what I think happened. Let's get somebody with a PhD to come up here and say basically the exact same thing, but we'll disguise it as he did something else instead of just saying, here's Trooper Paul's report. Look at it as your baseline and do something else. Because that's what it looks like to me from when I read that. And I mean, there's a lot in there. I mean, you can look at it in like the quote unquote hilly area. Like he does talk about, I mean, the one bright point that I think I mentioned to you guys, you and Shauna, that he does talk about the street gradient, like the gradient for like how steep everything is, like 2 or 3% is considered flat or false flat. And he does say that, like, okay, well, there's a gradient of 2. I think it was 2.5. Was that a 2 or 2.5? And it was like, oh, good for you, because that's what I calculated when I did it by hand to figure out like changing the elevation based on the amount of space that's there. So, like, had I read Trooper Paul's report, I would have seen that, but I would have seen a lot of other crazy shit. But so.
Right. So let me read this to you. I did pull this up on the Twitter X. So this person wrote this month, Trooper Paul was assigned to recreate the collision of Karen Reed into John O'Keefe at 2:30 p.m. on 1/29/2022. That is 3 hours before Proctor ever even got to Karen's parents' house in Dighton, and only around 8 hours after John O'Keefe was found dead. They were quick to get this covered up, weren't they? Also, Sergeant Good, the longtime friend of the Alberts, was assigned as the primary investigator. But the only problem with that is that Canton PD had already been recused off the case. But there's nothing nefarious about any of that, though, right? What pisses me off even more than seeing these new documents is that the FBI, this is when the report came, his police report came out, is that the FBI Boston and the DMA News One already knew about all of this and still did nothing. And then it shows the timeline. Trooper Paul was assigned to reconstruct this collision at 2:30 p.m. on 1/29/22 before Proctor got to Karen's parents' house or spoke with her or saw the SUV. And then it just says says number one, on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, a single vehicle collision involving a pedestrian occurred in the air. This is the cover page of the final reconstruction report. So we'll get our hands on the whole report for Friday Night Live. So we can go through it with everybody kind of page by page. Because like you said, that'll be very interesting. This was I'm going to star this one so I don't lose track of it since it's already, I'm going to just repost it on my page. It's going to take, I know I reposted when we found the actual link to the different pages of the report, but I'm sure I can find it in PDF version. So that way I can get it to you in advance and then we can talk about it. Because there's just, there's several, somebody writes on here, spent $400K to conduct the same test as Trooper Paul. Cause the pictures of Yuri standing by the SUV that we just put up and the one of, Welsher, it's crazy, right? That he literally did conduct the same test as Trooper Paul. That's kind of,
sort of. I mean, from what it sounds like, and again, I don't remember exactly what Trooper Paul did. I know he said that he had a software that he used. He used a like basic. Like you have this object here, and it moved this much. How what was the speed that it was going at, and like basic, like very 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 rudimentary. And even when you go rudimentary, the calculations and the data still don't go together. So I mean, I think he just kind of looked and was like, well, that's what I have. And again, when he did all of this stuff, he was doing this is basically like, yep, that's exactly what happened. And we found this here. So therefore that's it. And when it came down to like the nuts and bolts of this, it was like, well, how do you explain it? It's like, I don't know. I just did what I always do. I filled out the form. I put this down and then usually just accepted. And I go on with my very little way. We as people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts should not have that. We should have somebody who is qualified to actually do a reconstruction, not just I punch in this number and then the person please, or 6 years go by and whatever happens and maybe we won't get to it. That shouldn't be the case. We should have actual reconstructionists. We should ask for somebody to do a reconstruction of a crime scene. Like again, some of the stuff is very basic where it's like like you usually have like 2 cars, or you have an actual bot, or you have like a body with actual like like strikes, and you can, see like, oh yeah, like case in point, like what just happened to, again, I'm not too fond of him, but what happened to poor Rudy Giuliani? It looked like he got rear-ended. It looks like his head hit the windshield, because you can see a head strike on the passenger side of where he was, and he has a fractured vertebrae in his thoracic spine, which means that he was probably not buckled, and when they got hit from behind, he launched forward and he struck there. That's just rudimentary reconstruction, and that didn't happen. It was like, make this fit here. Now, right off the bat, was it like, let's get her? I don't think that was the case. I think it was just like, okay, here's what we have. Let's put something together and hope for the best. And that's what we're seeing a lot of this with some of these other cases that like have been sitting for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, where it's like, okay, we threw this together, we charge this person, and let's see if they plea. Well, and the same thing again. It's from living here, like you see a lot of this stuff where it's like, okay, it's not just like these big cases. It's also with misdemeanors, where they'll charge you with anything and hope to plea you down, give you a quaff. That's the end of it. These people don't need to testify. They don't need to go in front of a judge. They don't need to go on the record. They just charge you and hope for the best. And then if you don't do that, well, God help you, because you're going to have to sit 6 years, 4, 5, 6 years in pretrial before you even, get the evidence that these people had, and maybe you might even not even get that, and that can't be the case. So that's what Roe and Co are doing to hopefully shine the light on that. And thank God they're doing it. I mean, it sucks that people died, and these their alleged killers are the ones who are on stand, who depending on how things go, may or may not see justice. But at least we're getting eyes on this to show, like, hey, this is how it's done here, and this shouldn't be the way it's done. We shouldn't have to live like this and say, like, okay, God forbid you get charged with a crime, you have to sit 4, 5, 6 years in pretrial. Right. Because why? Because how we interpret Rule 14 is it's ongoing discovery, so basically we can give it to you whenever the frig we want to. No, that's not how it works.
Well, thank you, Julie. It's just great to hear your take on all the science with your science background. I just love your opinions.
That's not science, though. Whatever that was, that Trooper Paul was supposed to do, that's not science.
Well, he thought it was. I mean,
yes, he thought it was, exactly. That was his interpretation. That was his feeling on what science is.
So let me share this clip with you guys. We'll walk down memory lane as we end out our Monday night special edition of Friday Night Lies from last Friday. Let's walk down memory lane with Jackson and Trooper Paul. Or was it Yannetti? I can never remember who did Trooper Paul.
No, it was Jackson.
It was Jackson.
You are unmuted.
Oh,
you guys hearing okay?
I miss Bev.
We miss you, Bev.
I miss her schedule.
Yes, her schedule. We miss her schedule.
No. Don't eat my cranberry scone.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All parties having anything to do before the Honorable First
Justice
now sitting in the Norfolk Superior Court.
We miss him too.
Bev, fix it. Make him do hear ye again.
I don't miss the true fan though, because it made me dizzy. It brought on my vertigo.
Oh, only fan.
Good morning again,
Only
Counsel
fan,
and
yeah.
Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors.
Good morning, jurors. I love
This
you.
gorgeous weekend.
The sunshiny.
I have those 3 questions to ask you. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left here on Friday?
Yes.
Hi,
Everyone said
Paul.
yes,
Oh,
and
Paul's wearing the blue
affirmatively.
shirt.
Were you also able to
There's
follow
his
the
wife.
instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here? Everyone said no or shook their heads. Thank you very much. Could we please have Trooper Paul?
And just watch your steps for me. Thank you.
So much like the evidence being recorded during the case now and here, and the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I think so, Shauna.
Good morning, Trooper. All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
If you could just again, please state your name and spell your last name for the jury.
Yes, it's Trooper Joe Paul. That's Paul.
And sir, if I could just take you back to a couple different portions of your testimony from Friday. With respect to the acceleration and braking tests that you conducted in the driveway area or outside of the Camden Police Department, was that before or after Ms. Hartnett from Crime Scene Services section had processed the vehicle?
After.
And so as far as anything that was removed by her, that was done prior to you conducting any of your tests, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you've investigated approximately 191 crashes over your time in the cars unit with the state police, correct?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to ask you just some general questions with regard to a number of those crashes have involved motor vehicles, collisions with other motor vehicles, correct?
Yes.
Now, in general terms, with respect to motor vehicle collision, what, if any, you talked a little bit last week about sort of area of impact and point of impact, correct?
Correct.
Now, that's with regard to the roadway, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So with regard to the vehicles coming in contact with each other, what, if anything, regarding damage would you expect or anticipate based on your experience in general terms when vehicles come in contact or touch with each other in a collision sequence?
Objection.
No, I'm going to allow it. In general terms, what do you look for?
So we look, well, there's two times of damage onto a vehicle. One's contact damage and one's induced damage. So when we look at vehicles, we are looking for what's called as contact damage. And the induced damage is basically, start from the beginning. So contact damage is the damage that is actually made direct contact with another vehicle. And induced damage is the damage that did not make direct contact. So, for example, if you push in one piece of metal to make contact, the rest of the metal will make a rippling effect that would more cause induced damage.
And just again, in general terms, as far as vehicles coming in contact with each other in a collision sequence, what, if anything, would you expect or anticipate based on your experience to sort of transfer from one vehicle to the other event?
It's possible when you transfer, you can have paint transfers that come from one vehicle to another. You got a tire rub off that go from one vehicle to another. Scratches that would come from one vehicle to another.
How about energy?
Again, so
Energy
just in general
transfer.
terms, when it comes to vehicles interacting with each other in a collision sequence, what, if any, role does the respective heights of those vehicles play in respect to contact damage or inducement?
Yeah, it depends on their heights and how they relate to each other. So that kind of shows if one vehicle is taller, one smaller, it's going to show where the contact damage would be from one vehicle to another based on their height.
So based on respective heights, contact or induced damage could be in a different location from a bigger vehicle to a smaller.
Have you had enough of Lally? Do you want to go to the cross?
Now, if I could turn you back.
I've had enough of Paul, but we got to show some of it. So
with respect to the
You want to go to the cross?
Now, there were two events that occurred.
oh boy.
Forgive me. On that 12629 miles deep, there were two events that occurred within that trigger, within that mileage. Is that correct?
Correct.
And based on your analysis,
Hang on.
with respect to the odometer readings and the mileage, where is it? What is your belief as to where the vehicle was when those two events, being the 3-point turn and the backup straight for approximately 60 some odd feet, where did those occur within the travel path of the defense vehicle?
So the first one with the 3-point turn, in this case, it appeared to be possibly on to, it was a Cedar Crest, which, because we know based on testimonies that she missed the exit to Fairview and had to make a U-turn onto Cedar Crest. And that would make sense to why they would occur with close proximity to each other. They're within the same odometer mileage and on the same key cycle.
What?
And so that reversed 24 points
What?
per hour for 60
Oh my
some odd
God.
feet. Where would that have occurred, geographically from your review of the
He
odometer.
said he said banging you
It
in a
should
3-point
occur
turn,
probably
but
on
okay.
Fairview.
Now, sir, based on the totality of your analysis and your investigation in this case, what, if any, conclusions did you come to as to how this collision sequence occurred or how this crash occurred?
Yes. Should I show my report for that, or should you want me to just kind of go off the?
Yeah, just riff. Just riff. I want to hear you riff.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, Beth, make him riff. Just play it like jazz.
We continue.
Oh
If you could,
boy.
please,
Okay.
what, if any, conclusions did you come
Feel
to?
bad.
Towards your investigation.
So on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:45.
So you can look at your report, but you can't read your report.
I was
So
reading my conclusions based on what they asked me to do. Okay.
yeah. So I
Did you just
also I
tell
can't
Beth to do
hear you.
something?
Sorry.
Okay. So just take your time, read your report, and then answer Mr. Lally's question. And if you need to look at your report, we'll see about that again.
Oh
right.
boy. Oh boy.
Ask the question, Mr. Lally.
Based on the totality of your investigation, what, if any, conclusions did you come to with regard to how this collision occurred?
So this collision occurred on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:45 hours.
That's not
A
what your report
2021
says.
Lexus LX 570 was traveling southbound on Fairview Road, in Area 34 Fairview Road.
Yeah.
It appears that.
So,
Sorry, I'm trying to
so
close it.
you know what? I don't, Mr. Lally,
trying to
break
close
this
it.
down. Ask
Yes, please.
simple questions so that the witness can answer your questions.
Oh boy.
We don't need a narrative.
From your investigation,
He needs an emotional
what, if
support
any,
laptop.
conclusions did you come to as to where this collision occurred?
All right. So on the night of Saturday, January 2022, at approximately 12:45 hours,
What?
a 2021 Lexus LX 570.
Could you slow down? Sorry.
So yes.
So forget all that part,
Okay.
Trooper.
All
Just answer the question.
Jesus
Where did it
Christ.
occur?
Wow.
It occurred in
Okay.
Area 34 Fairview Road.
And who, if anyone, were the participants in this collision sequence?
The operator appeared to be Karen Reed, and the pedestrian was John O'Keefe.
And where was the vehicle located in reference to the residents of 34 Fairview?
It was located along the southbound travel lane and to the left side of the house as you look at it from the front.
And as far as the vehicle, what, if any, directionality did it head in, and what, if any, interaction did it have with Mr. O'Keefe?
So the vehicle was traveling in reverse along the southbound travel lane, traveling north.
And how fast was the vehicle traveling and over what distance?
The vehicle traveled up to 24 miles per hour and approximately 62 feet.
And at the time that the vehicle was traveling approximately 24 miles per hour over approximately 62 feet, what, if anything, occurred then?
The right rear of the Lexus struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe.
And post-collision, what, if anything, occurred with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
Mr. O'Keefe was projected forward and to the left along the front yard of 34 Fairview Road.
And post-collision with Mr. O'Keefe, what, if anything, did the defendant's vehicle do?
The Lexus continued traveling in reverse before they left the area.
Now, as far as the vehicle itself, from your inspection, what, if any, role did any mechanical aspects of the vehicle play in this collision?
There were no mechanical defects.
As far as your analysis of the roadway and other factors related to that, what, if any, role did they play in this collision sequence?
There were no roadway or environmental factors that contribute to this collision.
Now, sir, with respect to your investigation, what, if any, opinions did you draw based on your training and experience in regard to this collision and how it occurred?
May I look at my report real quick? Just make sure.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So throughout my investigation, this appeared to be a single car collision involving a pedestrian. The vehicle was traveling at a higher acceleration when, sorry.
Oh boy.
The vehicle accelerated at a high rate of speed before she struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe on the roadway and subsequently left him at the scene.
On the roadway. That's interesting.
And with respect to the backup safety system,
Yes,
I have to say, I felt, because he's a fellow law enforcement officer, and I never believed in a million years he had anything to do with anything nefarious in this. I really didn't. I'm sure there are people that thought so, maybe, but I never thought so. I think he did what he was told to do and did it. And I think he knew he was underqualified to do. This was such a rare situation anyway, because it was such even if she had hit him with her car, it would have been so rare the way that the injuries happened and what went on. None of it made sense at all. I think he knew that all along, that they asked him to reconstruct something that never really happened. I really believe he knew it. And I think you can kind of tell, because this was the testimony right here where I felt sorry for him, because he was so uncomfortable, so nervous. You can just tell he felt like crap, like he just didn't want to be there. Like, get me the fuck out of here. Sorry, YouTube. I felt sorry for the guy. I really did. Because I think he really, truly, wants to be wanted to be a law enforcement officer, didn't deserve the position they put him in a million years. That's just my little take on it, So we'll watch the cross on Friday Night Lives. We'll start out with Proctor and do the Proctor stuff, and then we'll go into this a little bit deeper. I'll get the report for you, send it to you. I'll try to find the actual PDF so it's easier for you to read, and then we'll watch the cross, because the cross is really pretty epic. But I just felt bad for him this entire time. I never thought he was a bad guy. I don't know what all you guys think, but I just think they did him dirty. That's just my feelings.
So I don't think it's so much as did him dirty. It's just the fact that he was in a position to do reconstructions. And like he says, that he is dealing with collisions of cars where you have, two, car A and car B, and they collide and go, okay, you have damage here, you have damage here. How do how did this happen? Well, most of the time you have witnesses who can tell you, and you can get it within the ballpark by saying, we're traveling this way, it's going this way. You might have hopped the curb or whatever it is. In this case, where it happened so early, and again, I have the video and I watched the end. It's very interesting to figure out like how quickly this was done before Karen was before she was arrested and arraigned, indicted, and all that other good stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What information was given, and to know that they gave this to Trooper Paul and said, yep, this was a strike because we have this piece of taillight. Here's the car. You could take pictures and then try to figure out like how to piece it together. If you look at the and again, I know it's out there, and yeah, between the two of us, we'll figure out where the report, where it says. But in the report that was from Proctor, what Proctor wrote down that the time of the incident in February of 2021. When he wrote down the time of the incident, he wrote down 12:33 a.m. But yet, going on Jen McCabe's statements and what Trooper Paul just said here, and what was used to say like, "Hey, how was this piece together?" They're saying that it happened at 12:45 because that was the last time the eyewitnesses supposedly again saw her drive away. But how did Proctor write down 12:33 a.m., which is pretty goddamn close to when she took off, and when the Bluetooth disconnected? So where does that come from? Because that's almost spot, like that's within like 1 or 2 minutes of when this happened. Where did that come from? Like, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that came from like texting data, if that's when they figured out like, okay, or like they looked at John O'Keefe's phone and said, okay, this is the last text that we have. So therefore there must, the incident must have happened like right around that time. Like you checked the phone and then whatever happened. And that's what they're using. But just the fact that somebody like Trooper Paul, where they said like, okay, it's a car strike. And he went there and was like, yep, it's a car strike. This is the time. This is whatever this is. This is that. And then takes a picture of himself in her car driving, back to test all the stuff to see, like, hey, can you see the sound? Can you see the dummy? Can you see, can you hear everything? And he has his coffee, his iced coffee in the center console, as though like that's a piece of evidence. And you're driving around with your with your iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts in the center console, driving back and forth like it's nothing. I think that's the reason why Lally asked him, like, hey, were they done processing the car after you, like, before or after you did the test? And it was after, because you could clearly see, here's his iced coffee, because it wasn't anybody else's, because Karen had booze in it, according to what Karen said. So, like, just the fact that Trooper Paul, like, a level of Trooper Paul is the one responsible for this, we should be asking for better for Massachusetts, because you should not be taking any of the, like, okay, you want to indict and like say like, yeah, we're going to charge you, but then to upcharge based on what this guy did, where he can't even explain what the Christ he did. What are we doing? We should all be outraged at what's happening here in Massachusetts, that this is the level where it takes 5 to 6 years to even get to trial, to even get to evidence.
But it's not just happening.
That he's literally like telling you his theory
Right.
of what happened while he's on the stand.
I know.
Why is that okay?
But it's not just happening in Massachusetts. So many cases don't even make it to trial.
Breathe, Julie, breathe.
Breathe, Julie. Take a breath. You're okay. You're okay. I know it's upsetting because you live there and it's your state, but this is happening everywhere, because a lot of cases that have this much malfeasance and undertrained officers, not necessarily corrupt officers, but
they just apathy or like they just don't care. Like, who gives a shit?
But what I'm saying is that it isn't always corruption. We can't always scream corruption. Sometimes it's just undertrained, or officers that just didn't get the training because they just aren't good at the job. Not everybody that gets hired for something ends up to be good at it, right?
Nope.
That's why people get fired. That's why people get replaced. And that's why people take themselves out of a job, because they realize, hey, this isn't my cup of tea. I'm not good at this. Let me quit this and go find a new career. And in many of these cases that haven't made it to trial, and especially the ones that we've been working with the families, and I've looked into their cases, read their police reports, looked at everything, I'm just stunned at some of the really bad police work that's out there. And that's concerning to me, because we can't have bad doctor work. We can't have bad doctoring and bad nursing and bad teaching. And I mean, there's certain professions we can't have bad of. No matter what, there will be mistakes. People aren't perfect, but we have to demand the best out of certain professions, because our lives depend on it. People's lives depend on it, right? So
LT. Sorry.
Well, I just want to circle back to the whole investigation sucked, and it was non-existent. And we've talked about this on Friday Night Lives many, many times, that the reason I put our back screen up today, which is the courthouse again, is because MCAT just shared with us in Illinois, there is no mention of God in court. Well, we try to stay very bipartisan always on this channel. Sometimes it's not possible because we're not all bipartisan. We can't always be bipartisan. There's things I truly believe in that are on the left side of the aisle. There's some things I'm okay with on the right side of the aisle, but just a moment.
She was talking about the hear ye, God help, God save the Commonwealth. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, I get that. I know that. I'm just saying that if I talk about this, it might be a little controversial to some people, because what I'm going to say, I'm just preempting what I'm about to say, because I don't typically go there on any of our episodes. I try to always stay bipartisan, but I'm not a bipartisan person all the time. I like to reach for it. I like to strive for it. I think everybody should, on either side of the aisle. You should strive to get along, strive to agree, but there are topics we will never agree on. If you're on the left side of the aisle, more like me, or if you're more on the right side of the aisle, there's things we're never going to agree on, but we can still be kind to each other. We can still be friends. We can still get along. We just have to agree to disagree and continue to advocate and fight for what we believe in. That's America. That's what it was built on. So I'm okay with Illinois having no mention of God in court. And I'll tell you why. I'm a spiritual person. I was raised in the Lutheran church. I've gone to Lutheran church a majority of my life, and some non-denominational church and Catholic church when I was married to my ex-husband. But I also know that everyone has the right to practice their own religion the way they see fit. That's also an American right. And so I don't necessarily, the separation of church and state is there for a reason. So I'm not opposed to that. I don't have a problem with it at all. Not everybody believes in the same exact thing. And even religions fight amongst themselves and throw hurl insults at each other. The Lutherans, the Catholics, the Methodists, you name it, none of them agree on everything perfectly. But God knows the truth if you believe in God. And if you have some other spirit that you pray to, then that's your choice. It's not my opinion that you need to hear. And it's not my right to tell you who to believe in and who not to believe in. So where it comes to the court of law, I am perfectly okay with the separation of church and state. And that is my opinion. So thank you, MCAT. I always appreciate anything and everything that you're willing to speak on and talk to us. And MCAT also said Joe was thrown into this. His anxiety was off the charts. Oh yeah, absolutely. I like I said, I felt absolutely sick for this young man. He didn't deserve any of it. He shouldn't be in a position that he's not qualified to be in either. Sorry. Allergies. Bless me. Thank you. And then Ashana says, I was asking if Mass was only court that did hear ye. Good question. I don't know. I think that's a cool trivia question, because that is very old school, right? Calling it the Commonwealth is, obviously something that dates back to probably whatever court first started. I would assume that they've called it, that they've come at the Commonwealth all along. And so MCAT says, drives me nuts when Lally says urine analysis, not your analysis. Yeah, there's times though when you are public speaking, and even on this channel, when sometimes words come out not the way you expect, because you're thinking about what's coming next already, and you're trying to read chat. And in his case, he's on the court, he's on the floor, he's speaking in live, sentences. And so it can happen that you accidentally mispronounce words. It's a common mistake that live streamers and or people that speak in public make, especially if you get a little nervous or if you start to feel tweaked by something. Shauna says, oh, God bless you. Thank you, MCAT. Shauna says, speaking of God in court, some people can choose to not swear on the Bible. They are given the Constitution if they want. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Shauna. I forgot about that. That's right. That's very true. Because again, it's court, it's law. It shouldn't be about our religion or which religion we practice or we believe in. This is about a court of law and enforcing our laws of the country. And that's how I feel about that. So thank you guys a lot. Well, anything else? One quick thing I want to add before we close out tonight, our makeup edition from last Friday night is tomorrow. Barry Morphew, and let me remind you who that is. Justice for Suzanne Morphew. I have been advocating for Suzanne's family and friends for years on my account, social media. Way before I became a live streamer and advocate on live stream, I was for justice for Suzanne Morphew. So in my opinion, I always believed that this was a domestic violence situation between the two, not necessarily the, hitting, punching, any of that type of domestic violence, but mental warfare domestic violence. And I think they were both involved in it. In my opinion, and we'll see what comes out in his trial, but I do believe that she had her own level of some type of game playing going on and strategizing and doing her own exit plan. And he had his own going on. I think they were almost equals. That's just my opinion, only based on what we know, because not a lot has been revealed in this case. But it does sound like they were like tennis matching each other back and forth in a very unhappy marriage that was coming to this, conclusion that they were going to get divorced, that she was planning to divorce him finally once and for all after many years of being unhappy. It sounds like Barry really had some issues with being somewhat narcissistic. I don't have a license to practice my social work. I have a master's degree in it, but not a license. So I will not diagnose Barry Morphew, but it does sound like from family statements that have been made, different things that I've read, all the research I've done on this case, that Barry did have a bit of an ego. He was a high school athlete. He was recruited to play college baseball and potentially play pro baseball, and had a big ego. So most of his life, and definitely had some narcissistic tendencies, qualities. It sounds like from what Suzanne told her friends and family throughout the marriage. So this was building for a long time. This is one of those things where, goodness sakes alive, if she would have just moved on with their life, regardless of the money, regardless of raising children, just moved on because she had to have sensed it was getting dangerous. I think a lot of women do, but it's scary to have to share joint custody of your children when you probably don't want to, but you have to in most cases if the father's still a good dad, he's just not a good husband. So I think that was haunting her, that while she was in this unhappy marriage when her kids were growing up, I don't want to leave my kids, I don't want to lose the money, the income, my house. I think all those things bother the woman who is in a domestic violence and a man who might be in a reverse mentally domestic violence situation, because some women can abuse their husbands mentally, typically not physically. There's just not a lot of statistics for that, but women can abuse their husbands mentally and cause great harm and grief to their psyche. But people don't leave because of all these reasons: children, money, status, friends, family. And then one of them ends up passing because of a horrific act, which we saw just 2 weeks ago when the woman unalived her husband. I think it was in Connecticut. Correct me if you know if I'm wrong, anybody, but she was having mental health concerns because her husband had been diagnosed with brain cancer and they had children. And apparently she decided it was better if they all went together. I don't know a lot about that case yet, but it's appearing that's what happened. She made a TikTok. I don't have TikTok, so I haven't seen it, but she made a TikTok hours before she unalived her husband and then her children, 2 of 3. I think one of them was not harmed, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But it's just horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And I'd like to think that somebody saw the signs, the whole see something, say something thing. People.
There's more info on that. There's more info on that.
Okay, Julie, bring it on. I don't know it.
So that's a case out of New Hampshire. There's a woman,
New Hampshire. Thank you.
A woman and her husband. They have 3 kids, and she, I guess, was down because her husband was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor and something was going on, but she worked outside of the home.
Correct. He was a school therapist. He was a school psychologist.
Right. Yeah. That's what it was. So, so she went and took care of the husband and 2 kids. One of them, they're not sure if she took the other child outside because they ended up on the neighbor's lawn somehow. But that's where the kid was. So they're not sure if the kid ran out of the house or what happened, but it was a little kid. Well, it turns out that this woman has been embezzling from her company that she worked for, and looks like she embezzled up to $600,000 over a span of 2 years. And it looks like the person found out and was like, hey, we're going to sue you because, we saw that you've been writing check after check after check after check. That's fraudulent. And she's like, oh, no, that's wrong. Like, no, we have it right here. Can we show you this? And like, no, look, see, I have the bank statements right here. And they were doctored bank statements. So the guy was like, no, I checked with the bank. I talked with all these people. What's up?
Julie, do you think that's because her husband had brain cancer and they were incurring huge medical bills? So that's why she did it?
No, I think she's just a not a good person. And she figured that she'd get away with it until she didn't.
Well, we don't know that for sure, though. We don't, obviously, if you haven't heard that yet, but we don't know for sure why she was embezzling the money. Maybe it was because her husband was sick and she had to give up her job to take care of him and deal with the cancer. So we don't know that. Maybe that is why she did it, out of desperation. Maybe it wasn't because she was a bad person.
I don't think so. I think it was just one of those.
Well, my jury will stay out. Yeah, I'll keep my jury out on that until we know more. But I did not know that. That's a very important caveat for what happened.
And that just came out. Yep.
And why she would unalive. But why take him and the kids with her? I mean, why? So she had to be having some major issues with her own self to do something this horrible, this terrible to her own children and her husband. Major, insanity.
Or take that much money, $600,000 over a span of 2 years. Wow.
Yeah, that's something. And to think that she won't get caught get caught. Yes, MCAT, leaving a marriage is overwhelming. I did it as well, but obviously and you did it and survived. I survived. Nobody unalived anybody. I mean, this is the Morpheus case is despicable, and also is the Suzanne Clark Simpson case. Same exact thing. Marriage not good. Signs of domestic violence, verbal domestic violence, constant narcissism behavior by the husband that everybody witnessed, but yet nobody really felt like it was their place to do anything about. So many warning signs that could have saved Suzanne Morphew and Suzanne Clark Simpson. It's just shocking and scary and horrible. And he's going to be having a hearing as well soon because he's arrested. So he got arrested really fast. It took much longer for the Morphew case because they had no body for the longest time. Suzanne was missing because, like I always say, when these guys decide to do this to their wives, and it's a high percentage of women that are unalived by their husbands or their spouses or boyfriends, they do three things. They either unalive them and then unalive themselves, or days later, possibly even the children, or they hide the body so that it doesn't have to be found. What's the third thing? There's three things that they do. Now I'm missing the third thing. Sorry, because my brain's on all cylinders tonight. But it's really gross and disgusting when they decide to, well, or they don't hide. Oh, I know. The third thing is they blame them for their own death. Duh. Just like Ellen Greenberg, I believe, was blamed for her own unaliving by her fiance, my opinion. And I believe that is what Matthew Farwell did. He blamed herself, Sandra Birchmore, for her own unaliving. So those are the three ways they do it. And it's just terrible and horrific that someone you loved and were married to or dating could do this horrible act to you. But that is what we're dealing with many of these cases of homicide, unsolved homicides that we're dealing with these women who were unalived due to homicide. So Barry's has a hearing tomorrow. He was arrested originally way back when, shortly after Suzanne was unalived. And that would have been, let's see here, hang on a second. Let's put that back up here a second. So that would have been in 2020? I think it was 2020, guys, that she went missing. Yes, Mother's Day of 2020, but they didn't find her. And for the longest time, and they wouldn't have found her, guys, they wouldn't have found her. I think he would have gotten away with this. I swear to God, he would have, because there were no witnesses, nothing that could really, no surveillance, no murder weapon per se that they could really use to prove that he did anything. Even though he had this tranquilizer gun in his home for many years because he was a big game hunter and he would tranquilize these deer and take their antlers. It's just gross to me that he was doing this, but that's what he did. And so he had a prescription for this stuff that you can't even get in most states, but he got it in Indiana, and because that's where they lived and that's where they lived most of their marriage in Indiana, but they moved to Colorado, kind of like a new start. And because he was a big game person, they wanted to live out there. Their daughter was going to college out there, so it made sense, their oldest daughter. So they relocated the youngest daughter, who was still in high school, with them to Colorado. And that's where this unaliving took place. So it was Mother's Day that she went missing, supposedly, allegedly went on a bike ride, which I don't believe ever happened. There is evidence that they have told us about recently that Barry was watching a podcast from some other woman who was unalived and missing, and because she went on a bike ride. And yeah, that's what I said, MCAT. His hearing is tomorrow. So I will definitely do a live stream on Wednesday, our regular Wednesday night show, our Angry Bitch Club show. And I'll update you all, unless it's something like really, crazy that happens tomorrow. I may just live tomorrow about it. We'll see. I'll base it on what happens. I don't know if it's being aired. I don't know. And Morphew's daughters, as far as we know, still believe that he didn't do it. They are absolutely, both the daughters have stood steadfast by their father this entire time when he was arrested the first time. And then, like I said, they accidentally found Suzanne. They were looking for another missing person, or I don't believe they would have found her. I think he hit her twice, according to the evidence. And I think other people agree with me, at least on the Justice for Suzanne page on Facebook. And thank you, all of you, for letting me join. I do believe that they believe that she was moved from her original place where he hid her. I'm not calling it a resting place, because her resting place is only after they finally were able to have a funeral for her. Where he originally hid her, I think he got scared or freaked out after he was arrested the first time. And I think he moved her. I think he knew that was the only thing that was going to get him arrested again was if they did find her. So I think where he put her, they would have never found her. It was outside of the scope of search, and they were looking for another missing person. So once that happened, they were able to do the DNA. And I'm pretty sure Barry, even though he was pretty clever the way he did this, in my opinion, never thought there would still be BAM, which is the acronym for the chemical that was found in her system, which is the chemical that they use when they shoot the tranquilizer darts into the animals. It's a combination of various chemicals, and its nickname is BAM. And I don't think he thought or realized or ever thought that she would still have that chemical in her bones. If we didn't have the technology that we have today, if this was 10 years ago, if this was 20 years ago, we would never have known her true cause of death, in my opinion. So this is a very, very bizarre case. It's very sad. It's been going on for a while because they unarrested him. They felt they did not have enough to take it to trial. The DA disagreed. The DA was fired and disbarred because of comments that she made on social media. She got emotionally involved in the case because she felt she was so sure that Barry did it, and so she went against her better judgment, sadly. And there's politics involved in this case. There's nefarious behavior involved by probably Barry, and there's denial, sadly, by maybe some members of his family. I don't know for sure, so I hate to say that, but probably, and definitely the daughters. There's just so much evidence pointing to this being what it is, which is another 3 women a week are unalived by their husbands, boyfriends, or spouses. It's just a terrible, terrible statistic that we're dealing with, and a loss of human lives, beautiful women. It's just sickening. So I will be possibly tomorrow live streaming if it's something really worthy of it, or I'll wait till Wednesday, probably would be my guess. So let's see here. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to share on that. And anything else, Julie, that you want to talk about quickly at the very end before we say our good nights tonight?
Well, I mean, I had a bunch of stuff, but one thing that because we're not going to be able to talk about this. So, John Camo, Mr. Dixie, is putting something together. So since when the hell did it start? It started in June. It either started in June or July. But for the last 2 months, whatever that timeline goes up with, there have been a couple of communities in Massachusetts, Canton being one of them, where they haven't had trash pickup. Now, we talked about this before on here. They've been using the dumps. And some of the communities have negotiated with the company to try to get some pickups. Other communities have been stepping in, but Canton, they've been working with the dump, trying to work with the community, but they I guess in some cases they've hired scabs, but they really don't want to do that because, again, they want to try to get, work something out. They want to try to work something out where they can do connection, where they can pick up the trash, like either rent trash pickups or do something, because I mean, it's a public health issue, and it's just not a good look. So Governor up here, Maura Healey, has made statements saying hey, get back to work, try to figure out what's going on. The union's basically telling you, hey, go screw. And they're trying to figure stuff up. So Mr. Dixie, John Camo, said last week on his show, Canton Confidential, said, you know what? There have been some organizations of groups, for example, I think it was the football team and the hockey team in Canton got together and they said, hey, let's go pick a day and go help people, call us, we'll come by and we'll bring your, bags to the dump ourselves. And so he said, well, why can't we do something like that? Why can't we put it out to the community and say, let's, go pick up trash? I talked to this one. Let's see if we can pick up trash. We'll get trucks like Richie, the Duck King, says he has a dumpster or some trucks. And so this Friday, he has it on his site. You can follow him on Twitter. His name is Mr. Dixie. It's Dixie Normus. So that's 2 separate words, but you can combine to see what it's supposed to sound like. He's getting people together for this Friday, the 5th, where they're going to meet. I forget where they said they were going to meet, but they're going to meet somewhere, and they already have people can call and say, hey, we're going to do pickup here, here, and here. And they're going to drive by, pick up trash, and bring it to the dump for people. So they're going to do something for the community, which I thought was phenomenal. I mean, I'm, one of these, you heard me beforehand, yelling at the clouds, kids today, they don't have it so good. But to hear that I think the football team and the hockey team and the baseball team, one of the teams, already organized and brought trash to the dump. I think it's phenomenal and good for what's going on with Canton. So any way that we can support these guys to say, get the word out and say, hey, he's doing this. If you're around, go do it. I mean, I'm not one for Canton, especially with some of the shenanigans that are going on there. But I mean, you have all my support. And I mean, there's a bunch of places around here on the North Shore. I think the clip in the news comes from Salem, which is also on Salem, Beverly, Danvers, places like that. So
yeah,
I mean, unless they come to an agreement between now and Friday, he's doing it. So he said,
that's
like,
awesome.
stop by, get your boots. He said, if you can bring a bright shirt or a bright vest, he said he's going to try to get lucky to see if Lucky Brian Lochran has shirts from Canton Department of Public Works, see if they can get vests. But they're going to get together and drive around and go collect people's trash and bring it to the dump for them. So if you can help, Canton and you don't mind stinky trash,
that is really
great helping opportunity.
How long has this been going on, Julie?
So he hasn't done it. So he hasn't done it himself. The strike's been going on since either the end of June or the beginning of July. It's been going on for about 2 months.
That is horrible.
And I mean, the governor Maura Healey got involved and was like, "Hey, get back to work." And they basically said like, "Hey, go screw." And she's like, "Well, what else can I do?" And they're basically like, all these communities are basically saying like, "Hey, tell them to negotiate." And they're basically like holding out as hard as they can. And they've gone through like John tells it, like they've gone through on their routes where like they'll do a couple houses and then they'll stop because all the
why don't they want to pay them more? What's the problem? It's a hard job, for God's sake.
Well, so that's the company. So they have a contract with the trash company that collects it. It's not like Canton Department of Public Works. It's the contracting company. Like they had a place that was Waste Management. This one's called Republic Services. They have a contract with all these guys. So instead of having the actual town do it, like renting a garbage truck and doing that,
right?
They're having these guys, but.
It's like that in a lot of towns. A lot of towns,
well, yeah, of course,
do it. There's private companies in some towns, and then in some towns the city does it. Like where I live, it's the city, and it's part of my water bill. And same in Madison, the city picks up the trash. But I've lived in other places where it was a private trash man. What are they called again? Something management.
Carting business. Yeah, that's waste management. Well,
waste management. Thank you. Yeah.
And I mean that's basically what it is. It's just that this company, which I mean this place has been around, but like it seems like they're getting more and more because they undercut. But now they're basically saying like, hey, do this job and we'll pay you whatever. And they're basically saying like, no, like pay us what it was. And they're like, no, we'll just get some scabs and you can go to hell. So that's basically what they're doing.
They're not a union. They don't have a union per se, but they it's a contract and they want to renegotiate their contract.
No, they're basically saying so the company Republic contracted with the city, but they're basically saying like, well, we hired you. We don't want to work. Like they're basically saying like, we don't want to work with, I don't know if it's the Teamsters or whoever the union is, but they're basically saying like, hey, you need to pay these guys to work. And they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. So that's where they are. And they're basically saying like, we'll hold out for as long as it takes. Wow. We don't give a shit. And that's the problem, is that they just don't care. And so that's why they're basically saying like, hey, this is a health emergency. Like if the town, could rent a truck to, take care of it until we negotiate, until, if the company is going to hold out, then we'll take care of our own trash so that these guys don't have to, have their wages cut to, do the same job, which is basically what the company's relying on, which is like, well, we'll hold out as long as it takes, no skin off our ass. And that's basically what's happening. So John and on all these other places are basically saying like in Canton, I know they're doing it in other places too, are basically saying like, hey, for anybody who can't get to the dump or, doesn't have a truck or anything, we'll go along and take it because, the more that we help out one another, the more we help out, the garbage men in the town so that people don't have to, so that this company isn't beholden to us, but basically saying like, yeah, we're going to undercut you and you're going to take it. So
it's really such a shame, isn't it?
Good for Mr. Camo. Good for you, Mr. Dixie.
Yeah, very excellent job, Mr. Camo. He's a great community guy in the town. He really is. And that's what it takes. That's community awareness, community support, the community people getting involved in all these issues is so important. And a lot of people just don't feel they have time for it, but you have to find time for it because this is your community. Everything that goes on, they'll continue to pull shenanigans on you if they feel none of you want to pay attention, and they'll just do whatever they want to do if they think you're just going to accept whatever they're willing to throw your way.
And that's what they're banking on.
Yeah, it's really great to see him doing this. Thanks, Julie. I'm glad. I did not catch that at all. So I'm glad.
Canton Confidential. That's. I'm sorry, not Canton Confidential. That's Sue BC stuff. It's Canton Chronicle. It's John Camo and Eric DiGirolamo and Boozy Beauty. All three of those guys. But it's on John Camo's. I think it's on his YouTube page. I didn't check. I think he put it up there saying like, yeah, we're gonna get this together because he was trying to work out the details and trying to figure out what everybody's doing. He's like, Friday, we're gonna do Friday. But then he said, yep, we're gonna do Friday. So he's gonna do. I don't know if he said he's gonna do a show from after they finish. They're gonna go and get drinks and do a show from there and do some interviews. Who knows what's gonna happen? But this Friday. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't catch that at all. I haven't been on social media much the last few days, but thank you. And I just really appreciate knowing about, all good works that are going on by community members in their communities. It's just really inspiring. But it is sad to me that grown adults can't figure this out. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? It's just ridiculous. People deserve to earn a good wage for what they do. They deserve to earn what they're worth. Everyone's worth what they're worth, and that should always be never understated ever, that these big companies, big corporations get to try to undercut us all. It's just a shame, and it's really despicable, and I just don't know how do you really completely stop it. But that's kind of how a lot of people aren't for unions, but a lot of people, that's why they believe in unions, because union representation is so important when it comes to not getting screwed over by these massively wealthy billion-dollar companies. And when you don't have a union, you're more at risk for the whole hire and fire at will. And, there's pluses and minuses to everything in this world. But like you were saying earlier, kind of coming full circle, we were talking about checks and balances and how important checks and balances are to all of us and to fairness for all of us. You can't stress that enough, how important that is, because when power is unchecked, you've got a problem.
Well, oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the issue is that, unions started so that companies couldn't do this by basically saying like, yeah, you're going to work for 27 hours a day and we're going to pay you, three wooden nickels. And they basically said, how about you, go do something to yourself. And then they worked it out. But the problem is that some unions get too powerful. Like, for example, the police union up here or
sure. There's like you said, there's a plus and a minus.
Well, I can do whatever the hell I want. And it was like, well, we need a balance. Like we need a happy medium. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a plus and minuses to everything.
Absolutely.
Everything. And then the checks and balances need checks and balances so that they don't get too powerful, right? It's sort of a constant checking and balancing of everything so that we can maintain order. And so that all of us humans who run this country, basically, we run the country with all the occupations we have and the jobs we have. If we just all stop doing our jobs and our work, I mean, I'm retired now, but when I did work, then what would happen, right? So the people that deserve the most respect are the ones who work the laborers that labor the hardest for all of us so that we can all have better jobs and a better life. And that's just simple. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science. So great. Well, thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. I'm sorry we didn't get to everything that was on our agenda tonight, but I sort of knew we wouldn't. But I'm glad we were able to stay on this long. And thank you, everybody who joined us for our special Monday night version of this show tonight and of our recaps of everything that we're covering and all the victims of homicide that we're advocating for with and alongside their families. And I'll be back Wednesday night for the Ingrid Bitch Club with an update on Barry Morphew's case and possibly rejoined again by my former dispatcher, Steve, to continue our talks about 911 calls. And then we'll be back again this coming Friday night for Friday Night Live. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to Julie, the most spectacular, awesomest co-host ever. And thank you to all our subscribers, our members, and all of you in our friend zone that come every Friday night and some Wednesdays and some Thursdays and support me and advocate for those that we are advocating for who have lost their lives to homicide. So thanks, everyone. Julie, any last parting words?
In the words of Bill Belichick, because apparently he needs it, do your job.
Well, they're losing right now, Julia. When I went to take the doggies out, I saw
They're
were
losing bigly.
They're losing bigly at halftime, North Carolina versus TCU. But TCU has a very great reputation for football. And whenever you switch coaches, and North Carolina obviously has always been known more as a basketball school, but they have done well, they have done well. They've had some good football teams going to bowls and such. So we'll see what Bill can do. He's going to need a little time, I think, to make that big transition from pro
Needs
to
to be
college.
in the NFL, not
We'll
this,
see.
not whatever this is. He needs to be in the NFL.
We'll see. We'll see. And there's not many college coaches can come in and just go bam, boom, turn it around that quick. It usually takes a good season or two to get everything, your own recruits and your system under their belt. But in all credence to TCU, they did have a pick six, and that's huge because that really put you on the board. And then they had a field goal right at the end. Because I when I took the dogs out, I clicked show me all the key plays. So I was able to catch up when I took the dogs out when you were speaking earlier. So I know halftime's probably over by now. So I'm going to watch the second half and decompress from all that is true crime. And I'll see you guys all this coming week. And thank you for everything. Thank you for supporting and advocating for victims of homicide. They are telling us my life mattered, and it is just us. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Thanks a ton. Good night.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth.